largely intact. In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake's security company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? Will anybody care? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. UPI reports a college in New England had asked a student to remove an anti-Nazi sign from her window. Nicole Parsons, a junior at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, put up a sign in her window that read, "F Nazis" and "You are not welcome here," in response to someone drawing a swastika over a Happy Hanukkah message on the door of a resident assistant. A week after putting the sign in her window, Parsons got an email from the college asking her to take the sign down, reading, "While residence education cannot force you or your roommates to take the sign down, I am asking that you or your roommate take the sign down so that all students can be part of an inclusive residential experience, as well as having a respectful environment to be part of here on our campus." Parsons said, "I was in absolute shock. This email tells me the university cares more about the feelings of Nazis than the safety of their students." After her roommate expressed concern over the attention the sign brought to the room, Parsons did remove it from the window. The University of Massachusetts Amherst later issued a note on its Facebook page saying a student placed a sign in their window that said, "F Nazis." A poorly worded email from a residence life staff asking student to take down the sign does not reflect the values of the campus, and it should not have been sent. UMass Amherst emphatically rejects Nazis and any other hate group, a view expressed in the student's sign. However, we are sensitive to the use of profanity, which some could find inappropriate. The university respects the student's right to display the sign, and it may remain up. Since September, the school has tracked 19 hate crime reports on campus. Zencash is now Horizen. Horizen is a privacy platform built on zero-knowledge technology with a decentralized secure node architecture. The Horizen platform enables real-life uses beyond currency, including the ability to privately chat with other people. Soon, Horizen will enable you to publish information and go anywhere on the web, all with complete privacy. Horizen, bringing privacy to life. Learn more at horizen.global. HORIZEN.global. Reuters reports an 8-year-old Guatemalan migrant boy died early on Christmas Day after being detained by U.S. border agents, according to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the second migrant child to die in U.S. detention this month. The CPB said the boy and his father were in their custody on Monday when a Border Patrol agent noticed the child showing signs of illness. The father and son were taken to the Gerald Champion Regional Medical Center in Alamogordo, New Mexico, where the boy was diagnosed with a common cold and fever and eventually released by hospital staff. But later that evening, the boy began vomiting and was transferred back to the hospital. Border Patrol said he died there early on Tuesday, adding that the official cause of death was not yet known. The father and son were not identified, and the agency said it would release more details as available and appropriate. Border Patrol said Guatemalan officials have been notified of the death. The boy's death followed the death in early December of a 7-year-old Jacqueline Call, also from Guatemala. She died after being detained along with her father by U.S. border agents in a remote part of New Mexico. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Officials at PepsiCo announced today the upcoming launch of Mountain Dew Cineblast after the company's market research team unknowingly fell victim to a malicious focus group that convinced them cinnamon-flavored Mountain Dew was the next big thing.
The people in the focus group, they couldn't get enough of it. And then they said, the more cinnamon, the better. So we are going to put in more cinnamon. We are really excited for people to try this product.
According to PepsiCo's data, all gathered from a single group of ill-intentioned respondents, customers of all ages will love the new soft drink's murky brownish-green color and will soon be lining up to try the carbonated beverage jam-packed with ground cinnamon. Various members of the focus group told reporters they believed the company had made a great decision.
Cineblast is the best. I mean, I can't wait to tell all of my friends to go buy this thing.
Yeah. The only way they can make it better is if they took a couple of raw eggs, mixed them up in the bottle. People would go nuts.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live, and we're here. We're here live. as we are every single day throughout the holidays. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And Daryl.
The toll-free number, if you want to join us, is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We also have the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. Jump into any one of those, and we will join you, and you'll be on the air with us. There's a lot in the news to discuss. Apparently, the government is still, I'm putting air quotes up, shut down.
Yeah, like 5 to 8% of the government.
Not even 10%, huh?
Based on the pie charts and whatnot that I've seen, it's somewhere between 5 to 8%.
Why doesn't Trump get serious and actually shut the entire thing down? Now, that would actually make an impact. That would be so wonderful if that could actually happen. But it can't, can it? They won't do it.
No, and it's not up to Donald Trump anyway, because Congress is the one that
really?
passes the budgets.
Uh-huh.
And there are...
So he doesn't have to sign off on the budget?
He has to sign the budgets, but the whole thing that is, currently being shut down was stuff where previous appropriations have not been signed off on past a certain date.
Okay.
So, like the military, they pass the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, every year, and it appropriates funding for at least a year.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the same time as some of these other continuing resolutions of certain things. So there's only a very small amount of the federal budget that is subject to the shutdown.
But Trump has a decision-making factor in this, right? Like, he's not signing something. They've passed some sort of thing. He's not signing it. Isn't that the idea?
No, right now they can't come to an agreement on what to pass.
But what if they pass something and he doesn't sign it? Then it doesn't go through, right?
There's provisions.
Unless there's an override.
Well, there's provisions. If he doesn't veto, then I forget if they're in session, if it becomes law or doesn't.
It's one of those things,
so there's
on...
all of these rules of if he doesn't sign it, it might go into effect. It might not, depending on whether they're in session or not.
What if he vetoes?
If he vetoes, they could override the veto.
Mm-hmm. Maybe, if they have the votes.
I'm saying in theory, but right now they can't even agree on what to actually pass.
I think that's great. Let's keep them that
the
way.
one house is passing something, the other house is passing something. He's saying he wants $5 billion for a wall that he wound up later saying is going to be steel that's see-through. So it's a fence. It's going to be a fence. Stop calling a wall a fence. Walls and fences aren't the same thing.
Remember when we reported, late this weekend or whenever it was, that he had made a statement, was it in 2017, about throwing...
over the summer of 2017, using trebuchets to hurl 60-pound sacks of drugs
and
that could land on your head. So we have to be able to see through the wall.
Right, so that was when he was saying it needs to be a fence or a transparent wall or whatever it is he's got in mind. Or a wall with a bunch of holes in it so you can see somebody chucking a bag of drugs over the fence.
Right.
Guess what he says in this story here from FoxNews.com. This from, I think, yesterday. Trump's Christmas message to Democrats: government shutdown will last until we have a wall.
That's not really going to be a wall.
And he does kind of correct himself here. He says the government is going to remain partially shut down, quote, until we have a wall or fence. Unquote. Trump speaking to reporters. So
until he has the wall or until he has funding for a wall, because those are two different things.
Big different things. Yeah, that's an interesting question. I suspect.
And then
it's
if the government is shut down until you have a wall, who's going to build the wall? Because it's not going to be government employees, because it's still supposedly shut down.
Trump, speaking to reporters Tuesday in the Oval Office during the fourth day of the impasse, also revealed he'll be going to the border in Texas for a groundbreaking ceremony for a portion of the project at the end of January. He says, quote, while we're fighting over funding, we're also building, and it's my hope to have this done, completed, all 500 to 550 miles, to have it either renovated or brand new by Election Day, he says. Democrats, though, remain opposed to approving additional funding for a border wall as part of a new government spending package.
Even though the Republicans still have the majority in both the House and the Senate for at least another week and a half.
But there's some sort of split between them on this, right? Are they all? They're probably not all behind Trump, I would imagine.
They're not, but the funny thing is he's blaming Democrats even though it's his party that has the majority in both of the houses.
Okay.
He can't get his people on board, so he's blaming the other team.
Well, this is a statement from Fox News here saying that they are...
Trump has been blaming the Democrats.
I believe you. Remain opposed to approving additional funding for the border wall as part of a new government spending package, and their hand only strengthens once their party takes control of the House next month. The White House warned over the weekend the shutdown standoff could extend into the new year, and Trump on Tuesday made clear he's not planning to budge either. He says, quote, "I can't tell you when the government is going to be open. I can tell you it's not going to be open until we have a wall, a fence, whatever they want to call it." He says further, "It's a barrier from people pouring into our country," and added, "It's a barrier from drugs." Even though a year ago he was saying that people are just chucking drugs over the wall, so it won't make any difference. So which way is it?
Well, see, if we wind up putting nets, you know how at certain sports stadiums?
Yeah, they got the safety net.
Yeah, they've got the safety net that sort of comes out to where, people can't fall into the field of play, and it also catches certain balls. So just get one of those safety nets that goes off the top of the wall fence thing. Or we could build a big, giant dome around the entirety of the United States.
Wow, now that would be a boondoggle of a project.
And then, if somebody does try to chuck drugs, it's just going to land on the dome and then fall back to where it wound up going. But then you've got to worry about
sunlight.
No, so we've got to put some holes for airplanes to fly in and out.
It almost sounds like something Trump would come up with.
We've got to build a force field.
Now, as you pointed
out, completely around the United States.
He did accuse Democrats of wanting open borders while claiming some federal workers are on his side. Trump told reporters, quote, "Many of those workers have said to me, communicated, stay out until you get the funding for the wall. These federal workers want the wall," is what Trump says. He insisted it would be effective in keeping illegal immigrants from entering the United States.
Right. So let's sort of go back to the drug statement thing again, where he says that, a wall would keep drugs out. The last time I checked, there are giant walls with razor wire at the top around prisons.
That's true.
But drugs still somehow get into prisons.
Well, there's only a couple ways it can happen. Usually
but they
up where
get
the sun
in there.
don't shine. Or they've actually had drone drops too recently. And so prisons have been coming up with ways to deal with drones that are flitting about above their facilities. But yeah, you're right. The government can't. Your point is the government can't keep drugs out of anything. Even the most high security, maximum security prisons.
Right. Schools are drug-free zones, but I could guarantee you that the vast majority of students could figure out who to get drugs from.
Yeah. I mean, if it's not the smartest thing to bring weed onto a school campus because you could just, sell it to your friends off of campus and then not have the high risk.
Right.
There's almost a guarantee there are students with cannabis or other drugs on them at any given government high school, even the ones with metal detectors and wands and security guards, which, of course, represent very serious similarities to government prisons.
Yes.
But they can't keep drugs out, and even Trump admitted it in his statement a year ago when he admitted that the people will just chuck the drugs over the wall with a catapult.
Right.
And that's not some fanciful idea of his. That actually happens. That's actually a way. It's a lower budget way than digging a tunnel, because those are pretty much your two options, right? You dig a tunnel at a very high cost, which of course the drug cartels can. No problem. They can afford that.
Right.
That's not a big deal. Remember, this is the same drug cartels that dug a tunnel specifically to break one of their own guys out of prison.
Right.
So, I mean, they've got whatever the equipment is necessary to dig tunnels, and they're more than happy to do one for a one-off.
Right.
Normally you would dig a drug tunnel and intend to use it multiple times to ship drugs constantly across the border and ship cash back across as well. But, we need to get our guy out of prison. We'll just dig a tunnel right under the prison. No problem.
Yeah.
Toll-free number here tonight, 855-450-FREE. As long as there's a market for drugs, people are going to supply that market, and they'll do whatever it takes to get them in, whether it's paying off border guards to look the other way as a semi rolls through a checkpoint full of drugs, or it's just shipping it underground or chucking it over the fence. There's more coming up here. It's Free Talk Live.
She seems happier. Her fur is so much shinier, silkier, softer. She has really mellowed a lot.
Sheba is 105 lean pounds of shiny, smooth, happy dog.
for life.
The shedding has stopped. The itching has stopped.
Since 2001, we've helped more than 250,000 dogs get over their nutritional deficiency miseries.
And saved our customers bazillions in vet bills.
Everything we tried failed except the Dinovite.
Come to Dinovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
If you want the dog to be healthy, you got to feed it something healthy.
The omega-3 fatty acids,
flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa,
the digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
Dinovite is nutrition.
Dinovite for life.
Don't let your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy.
Come to Dinovite for help.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Free Talk Live.
We have been brought forward to bring out the truth.
I knew this was
all right. What is the truth?
No, it's in the 2 books.
Oh, you've got to buy the books. Now, how much is somebody going to have to pay for these books?
It's right online. Depending on what country you're in, they're $26 a piece here in the United States, including freight.
Now, why would God put books out and require people to pay for them? What's the point in that? I mean, aren't there people out there that can't afford that?
Those of us here on Earth have had to put the material together and get it copyrighted and available.
Why would God want to copyright something? What's the point of that? I mean, wouldn't God want
anything on this planet has to be copyrighted to be put out legally by
That's
your
not true.
government
Not true at all. Not true, sir. Nope. You can put whatever you want out there.
Explain?
No, you let me explain, because whatever you want, you can put online, and nobody's going to tell you can't do it.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin. mymagicmud.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It is Free Talk Live. Dial in toll free and join us here. We're talking about the so-called government shutdown, which Daryl says probably doesn't affect much more than 5 to 8% of the federal government. But, people are making a big deal out of this. And even if the government is shut down 5 to 8%, still better than 0%. So how long will this one last? Trump is saying this is going to last until, he says, quote, we have a wall, a fence, whatever they want to call it. Now, that's not clear, as you pointed out, Daryl, as to whether or not he means the funding for the wall fence.
He probably means the funding.
That's probably what he means. Though that's not what he said.
Right.
So we'll see.
That's the thing with this orange president guy. is he'll say something and then you have to try to figure out what he means.
Well, so we can continue the discussion here. Of course, you're welcome to comment as well. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Freedom's Phoenix is a liberty-oriented news aggregation site. If you want the newest and freshest stories and perspectives on current events from those who value liberty, then freedomsphoenix.com has it. Their daily dispatch is the best way to stay up to date on science, technology, historical findings, liberty news, government overspending, and the rise of the police state. It's freedoms with an S, phoenix.com. That's freedomsphoenix.com. As we continue, Trump again promising to keep the shutdown going. I know, Daryl, you have a related story to this. We can get into that coming up here in just a moment as well. And then we got some drug war related news on the way. Again, toll-free number tonight for you is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. Trump insisted that the wall would be effective in keeping illegal immigrants from entering the United States. He quipped, quote, "There may be a case of an Olympic champion who may get over the wall, but for the..."
What?
I think he's imagining like the pole vaulters. What? But for the most part, you're not going to be able to do it. Democratic leaders, so-called, on Christmas Eve, meanwhile, said that the president wanted the shutdown, but he seems not to know how to get himself out of it. The White House presented a counteroffer over the weekend that is between Trump's $5.7 billion price tag and the $1.3 billion that Democrats have offered, according to Budget Director Nick Mulvaney. So it sounds like the Democrats are willing to build a wall, too. They just want it done for less?
Yeah, that seems to be what I've
principled
read.
Opposition.
And
they
again,
really care about immigrants, don't they?
Again, the Republicans have the majority in both houses of Congress right now.
Yeah.
This is the third time that Donald Trump, a Republican, and Republican-controlled Senate and Republican-controlled House of Representatives have failed to come to an agreement on some spending and had a partial shutdown. The third one.
Good.
And he has, like his guys running Congress.
Well, I mean, you're saying his guys, but the Republicans have been split over Trump for quite a while, right? Like, I don't know what the percentages are. Obviously, some of the people have come on board for the purposes of solidarity, but I imagine there's still a number.
The vast majority.
I'm sure that's true, but I imagine there's still some number of them that are not on board with Trump, and that's why he hasn't gotten the things done that he wants to get done.
Right.
And that's not a bad thing. Good. Let's have them divided. I mean, you're not complaining about it, right? You're just pointing it out.
I'm just pointing it out because he's blaming the Democrats when it's his guys that are running Congress. It's his guys. It's not the other guys.
Democratic leader Chuck Schumer said the parties remain very far apart. The impact of the shutdown could be felt soon. Trump excused federal employees from work on Monday, and since Christmas was a federal holiday, that means the public could begin to notice the shutdown's effects on Wednesday. Some 800,000 federal workers must either work without pay for the time being or stay home and wait to be paid later. And you've got a story about the federal agents beginning to feel, whoever these people are that are being furloughed, some sort of a bite. And we're going to get into that as well. Several cabinet departments and agencies have been closed since Saturday after their funding lapsed. So that's the update there. Daryl, where's your story from?
Story from Politico. They say the partial government shutdown entering its fifth day Wednesday with no signs of a breakthrough, and hundreds of thousands of federal workers about to feel the pinch of a protracted standoff. President Donald Trump.
Maybe they'll quit. Hey, if it actually goes on long enough, how long are you going to hold on for if you actually don't get paid? Because you're going to get paid eventually.
Right.
And it's going to come back at some point. But if Trump actually means what he's saying, and again, we have no idea what he actually means, but if he actually means that he's going to furlough all these federal workers until the wall actually gets built, then how many of these guys are actually going to call it quits?
Good question, but I actually know somebody, and I'm not going to say where he lives or how I know him, but I do know somebody that works for the passport office.
Oh.
That is considered a non-essential something.
That's
so
very
you want a passport?
Yeah. Sorry.
Good luck. Sorry, you gotta wait.
Wow. That is one of the ways that they've been doing these
Right.
shutdowns
So
over the
they
years.
do these shutdowns in the way that really inconveniences us.
Right. They don't want to shut down the government police or the military
Right.
or something like that.
Because those are the things that they've already funded for long terms.
Mm-hmm.
But, the Park Service, that comes up every time there's one of these concurrent spending resolutions that has to go through the Department of State Passport Office. That's one of the things that winds up having to be funded. They can't fund the Passport Office for 2 years at a time.
Even though the
for
Passport
reasons.
Office collects fees on all of the things that it does.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to shut that down. We're going to, and I've heard that they've not put up the fences around the public sidewalks in D.C. like they have previously, but they have definitely locked all of the bathrooms.
Well, anybody that's ever been to a park bathroom before, I don't know how they are in D.C., but pretty much every government park I've ever been to, their bathrooms are god-awful.
They generally are.
Yeah.
But I've got friends that are runners that live in the D.C. area. One of them went for a 15-mile run through the National Mall.
Figuring he'd be able to use the bathroom.
And you know what you've got to do after you've run for a long time and been drinking a lot of fluids.
Right.
And the bathroom was locked and there was a sign.
What did he do?
Took a picture of the sign. I don't know if he. I don't know where he relieved himself, but he took a picture of the sign of. Oh yeah, this is inconvenient and annoying. So these are the things that are actually being done.
They want you to feel it.
Right. So I would say that if there's going to be a requirement for passports for certain international travel, that the Passport Office might be an essential service, but they're deemed non-essential.
Now, is there a list somewhere of the bureaucracies that are non-essential versus essential according to the federal government? I'm curious.
Seen it in various news articles.
Yeah, because all we ever get is like a patchwork.
Yeah, I don't know if it's in this article from Politico.
We're going to continue with that story, though, here in moments. Your calls and thoughts are welcome. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. How long would you let it go for? If you were a government worker, you get the sweet government paychecks and everything, but your paychecks stop. How long before you're like, you know what? I should probably go get a real job. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Like freedom, you can join us here. This is Free Talk Live.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
You may need this herbal tea for relief right away, so write this down. DRMILLERS clinic.com. If you take meds, then suffer stomach distress, constipation, indigestion, acid reflux, and bloating, and nothing else helps, get Dr. Miller's Holy Tea or Super Holy Tea, a cleansing, detoxifying herbal tea now available at great rates direct from Dr. Miller's office. Call or click 888-660-7039 or DRMILLERS clinic.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, 855 450 free. We're here to take your calls and thoughts if you want to share them with us. If not, we'll share our thoughts with you. That's how it works here. Toll-free number is 855 450 free. That's 855 450 3733. Also, don't forget, we've got the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. With you tonight, by the way, it's Ian.
And Daryl.
Want to let you know about AnyPay. We've heard recently that there's some potential new competitors in the realm of cryptocurrency acceptance, but we were analyzing one of them just before the show started tonight, Daryl, and I got to say, the new competition doesn't seem like it can hold a candle to AnyPay. Their competitor wants a monthly fee. AnyPay doesn't charge you anything.
Monthly fee, and to create an account, you have to send them an email.
Oh, that's a huge hassle. When you go to anypay.global to create an account, you just create the account. Username, password, you're in. There's not even an email that goes to to verify that you typed it incorrectly. So make sure
you don't
type
need
it
to know
right.
API. This other thing that I was looking at.
You got a programming interface.
You've got a programming interface, and there are only certain wallets that you can use.
Yeah.
AnyPay, use any of them.
Use whatever wallet you want to receive your cryptocurrency. You create your username, password. You get in over at anypay.global, and then you use the settings page to put in your cryptocurrency addresses. It's super easy. In fact, now that they've got the Android app, the actual downloadable Android app, just search for, on your Play Store, search for AnyPay Take Crypto. That'll probably bring it up as the first result. And when you do that, if you have not yet signed up for an account, you can actually do it through the app.
Nice.
So that's pretty cool. That's another way to do this. They're making it as easy as possible to take cryptocurrency. And we're talking about Bitcoin BTC. We're talking about Dash, Zcash, Zen, and more likely on the way. We'll let you know as they add others. Anypay.global is where you can go to get started. And like I said, there's no fee to accept cryptocurrencies through AnyPay. It's pretty awesome, and it works very well. Anypay.global. All right, so we're talking about the story over at Politico, focusing on the federal workers side of this shutdown and the supposed, I saw a number in the Fox News story, 800,000 perhaps federal workers that may be affected?
Up to 800,000 federal workers that might be affected. Some of those are people that are essential employees in these affected agencies that still have to come to work, but they're currently not getting paid, even though I had previously...
Wait, they have to come to work, but they're not getting paid?
You'll get paid once the Congress authorizes funding, so you'll get your money.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be today.
But if you got to pay the rent tomorrow and you're living paycheck to paycheck, then what do you do?
Good question.
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm saying.
Right,
the longer this goes on, the more these people are going to start thinking about, crap, do I need to find another job?
Well, some of these people, if they know that the job is coming back,
they're going to stick it out.
They'll go collect temporary unemployment.
Oh, that's a thing, huh?
That's a thing.
Okay.
You got furloughed, collect unemployment, and then you don't have to. So in New Hampshire, if you're fully unemployed, then when you go file for unemployment, you have to every week tell them, here are all of the companies that I applied for. Here's how many interviews I had.
Is this a state program or a federal? I don't know anything about
unemployment is handled at the state level.
Okay. But is it federally anything? Is it like a federal mandate or federal?
Probably.
Huh.
I know that every state has it.
Okay. So presumably D.C. has it as well then, is what you're saying.
Presumably, but not every federal employee works in D.C.
Jackie knows something about this.
So you pay federal and state unemployment taxes. I used to do payroll. I think you pay unemployment tax. Your employer pays on your behalf. It pays into insurance, basically. So you pay an amount to the federal government along with your other tax. Or no, I think it's a separate tax filing. And then you also pay to the state. It is administered by the state, the actual unemployment benefits, but then they get some federal funding, and I'm not sure if it's just a block to the state or if it's based on how much you paid in to the federal program.
But are you actually unemployed if your job's like, well, we'll pay you, just not this week?
Right.
That's going to vary by state. What counts as unemployed is going to have some state variance.
And then D.C.
Yeah.
Right. And again, not all of these workers work in D.C. There's a passport office in New Hampshire.
Right.
Yeah.
So there are people in New Hampshire that are federal employees that are currently on furlough, meaning they can go apply for unemployment.
Yep.
And what I was saying is in New Hampshire, one of the reasons the New Hampshire unemployment rate appears to be really low is there are a lot of people that don't want to jump through the hoop of providing, here's everybody that I filed a
that has
application
nothing to do with the unemployment rate.
I was always told that the unemployment rate was connected directly to the people collecting unemployment.
You were told completely 100% wrong. That is the new jobless claim rates. The unemployment rate is based on the Census Current Population Survey, where they basically have people, they call them up a sample and they ask them a bunch of questions. There's actually multiple unemployment rates. The one that typically gets reported in non-business, non-economic news sources, just sort of your mainstream general news sources, is simply the one where to be counted as unemployed, they have to not be working at all, so not part-time, not at a job they're overqualified for, and they need to be not seeking employment in that they haven't been trying to get a job for the last X number of days.
Got it.
Now, so that's the lowest rate, and that's the one that typically gets reported as quote-unquote the unemployment rate.
Right.
There are other rates. I think they label them like U1, U2, U3. There's rates where they also look at discouraged workers, which are people who were looking for a job. They like to be working, but they have not done the activities necessary to be considered looking for work. There's also the underemployed, which are people who are employed part-time but would like to be working full-time.
Right.
Or people who are working at a job at which they are grossly overqualified for. Like, if I took my degree and went to be a cashier at McDonald's, because that's all I could find, I would be underemployed.
Gotcha. Right. So in New Hampshire, if one is not employed and not looking for work unless they're temporarily furloughed, they aren't eligible for unemployment compensation.
Okay.
So the people that are furloughed, as I understand it in New Hampshire, could collect unemployment insurance. Now, the question is whether or not when they wind up getting this back pay for, we told you that you had to take some time off, here's money. Some states make those employees repay the unemployment.
Interesting. Now, of course, D.C. is a completely different animal, and who knows what the rules are there.
Right. And again, not all of the federal employees affected are in D.C.
Yeah, and I don't know what percentage or which portion are.
Yeah. So continue. I pulled up the list of the affected agencies. So Department of State, Department of Treasury, Department of Justice.
These aren't fully, they're not everybody necessarily is going to be told to not come to work. Maybe it's partial.
Some of these employees might be these essential you come to work, we pay you laters, but the entire agency has not been funded.
Gotcha.
For Department of State, Department of Treasury, Department of Justice.
Good.
Most of the Department of Interior.
Department of Justice.
It's on the list that I see.
Sweet. Send those prosecutors home. That's great news.
Department of Agriculture, Department of Commerce, HUD, Department of Transportation, Homeland Security.
These are major departments. You're telling me this is only 5 to 8%, though?
Some of the Department of Health and Human Services, the Executive Office of the President, and most independent agencies of the judicial branch.
Wow. I mean, that seems like... I understand the federal government is a monster organization.
Right.
I mean, the military obviously is huge.
Unaffected agencies.
Okay.
Meaning that there's no furloughs, no, you've got to come to work.
List, right? Like, we don't have time to read this list, right?
It's not that long.
Okay.
But it's massive as far as employment goes. Department of Defense.
Yeah.
Is
That's
huge.
the military.
That's the military. Department of Labor. Most of Health and Human Services, Department of Energy, Department of Education, Veterans Affairs, some of the Interior, and some independent agencies, the entire District of Columbia, and the legislative branch.
The entire District of Columbia, meaning that every bureaucrat working in D.C. has to come to work?
For the city.
Oh, I see. More coming up here in moments. It's Free Talk Live.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite.
Everything we tried failed except the Dynavite.
Pick up 2 bottles of Super Mega Fish Oil.
Get the 3rd bottle free. Packed with omega-3, DHA, and EPA fatty acids.
Super Mega is great for your dog's immune system, healthy skin, and soft, shiny fur.
Dogs love it. Try Super Omega Fish Oil.
Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynavite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
Marijuana has unleashed a green gold rush across our nation. It's creating $10.8 billion in new wealth a year. And every day, it's transforming more and more Americans into millionaires. In an historic event, former Speaker of the House John Boehner reveals how you could become one of them. Join him online for the American Cannabis Summit. Attendance is 100% free, but space is limited. Join online at www.acs2018.com. This event is the first of its kind ever. John Boehner and an esteemed panel will reveal which cannabis stocks are primed to deliver life-changing windfalls in the weeks and months ahead. Plus, they will show you how to become a cannabis angel investor, backing the hottest startups before they potentially become worth billions of dollars. Join American Cannabis Summit online at acs2018.com. Attendance is free. That's acs2018.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. We're talking about this government shutdown, which, I mean, it does sound like it's pretty decent. You'd mentioned the Department of Justice, the Department of State. These are some pretty big bureaucracies that have been shut down. I mean, they're not touching the Defense Department, right, unfortunately, which would be really awesome if they'd shut that down. But, you know, I was actually surprised to hear some of the bureaucracies on the list that you mentioned.
Right. Now, I'm going to assume here that for the Department of Justice, they're not telling the prosecutors and the judges go home. They're saying, still do your job, we'll pay you later.
Yeah. The question is how much later. Trump claiming he's going to keep the shutdown going until he gets his wall. Now, it's not clear, or fence. He's corrected himself.
Wall or fence or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Boondoggle. That's what I call it.
For sure. And apparently the Democrats are willing to give it to him, but they want a wall that will cost less.
Right.
And so it's still going to be, you know, a police state nightmare here in the United States whenever this thing is done, whatever it is that they end up coming up with, because sorry to say, folks, the wall is going to keep you in, too.
Yeah.
It's the other side of having a wall, is it works both ways. And
but only going south. We don't need a wall on the Canadian border because reasons.
Not yet. We
also don't need a big giant seawall.
Yeah, because nobody would ever come in from the oceans.
Oh, except for all of the
Those Chinese
boats.
People. Yeah.
No, I'm thinking Cubans, Haitians, people fleeing oppression in the Caribbean.
Well, lots of Chinese folk came too across the Pacific.
Yeah, they're not using handmade boats.
That's true.
Like the people fleeing Cuba do.
Right. So we've been talking about the effective, how this is going to be affecting these federal bureaucrats. You got a story from Politico.
Yeah, that we barely touched on it. Continues President Donald Trump and Democratic congressional leaders aren't currently negotiating directly, according to GOP and Democratic aides. Staff-level discussions are continuing, but there's no indication that the key players are ready to reach an accord. Trump told reporters on Wednesday during a surprise visit to U.S. troops in Iraq, "Whatever it takes, we need a wall. We need safety for our country. We have terrorists coming in through the southern border."
Fear, fear, fear.
Despite the
that's what works. That's what works on people, is getting them to be scared. That's what they did. That's what he did ramping up toward the election with the folks that were traveling through Mexico, acting like there were terrorists there, people from the Middle East, he claims, criminals, etc. And then as soon as the election happened,
not a woman or child in sight, even though there were tons of women and children in sight.
And then as soon as the election happened, he didn't mention it again.
Yeah. Politico says despite the bombastic language from Trump, there's no evidence terrorists are entering the United States via the southern border with Mexico. Congressional leaders from both parties fear that if a deal is not reached soon, the stalemate could easily drag on into mid-January.
Isn't it also worth pointing out that, the 9/11 terrorists were all here legally? Maybe on an overstayed visa or something like that.
Yeah, some of them had overstayed visas.
But the point is
they entered the country
through the system.
Yes.
Yeah.
House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi is set to become Speaker of the House when Democrats take over the House on January 3rd. On the House side, leadership sources continue to argue that the onus is on the Senate to find a path forward. There were no calls or meetings between House GOP and Democratic leaders scheduled Wednesday. The House will be in for a pro forma session on Thursday, but House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy's office said there will be no votes held during what could be the last gasp of the 115th Congress, at least on that side of the Capitol. The House is not planning to return to Washington this week unless a deal is reached and approved by the upper chamber, according to sources. Ashley
All right, so they're taking the week off.
Basically, yeah.
Sweet.
Ashley Strong, a spokeswoman for outgoing Speaker Paul Ryan, said, as we have always said, the House will pass a plan that can get through the Senate and that the president says he will sign. The White House is engaged in talks with Senate Democrats, and when the Senate acts, the House will be prepared to follow. The Senate aides said there were no significant movements there either. The Senate will be in session on Thursday, but there will be no votes in the chamber until a deal is reached to end the shutdown. Once she takes over, Pelosi is
so they're not voting on anything until this thing shakes out. Basically, they're not going to pass any other bills. They're not going to do anything.
We're not planning to vote on it. So my sort of summary here is we're not voting on anything until we agree to something, but we're not agreeing on it until the other house votes on and agrees to something. So
great.
Everybody just have a happy holiday.
This is fantastic.
I guess.
You know what? If that's happening as a result of this, that these politicians can't actually do anything or won't actually do anything, great. I think that's good news.
The article continues, the full effects of the shutdown will become apparent on Wednesday when federal workers return from the Christmas holiday. They were off over the weekend through Tuesday, so they had a 4-day weekend anyway.
Right.
So today was the first day back to work for some, or the first day to stay home for others.
Right, and some are going to be told, nope, we don't need you. You got to go home.
Federal offices were set to reopen on Wednesday for normal business hours unless they were among the 9 departments without government funding. Those include the Departments of Agriculture, Commerce, Homeland Security, HUD, Interior, Justice, State, Transportation, and Treasury.
My God, Daryl, Homeland Security shut down. That must mean that we're insecure.
No, TSA is still there, unfortunately, even though that's security theater.
Well, right.
Border Patrol is still there.
Wouldn't that be ironic?
If
the Border Patrol got shut down.
ICE is still there. Like all of these agencies under Homeland Security.
So only a portion of these agencies are likely shutting down. It's probably not the whole
I don't know if any of Homeland Security is actually shutting down or if they're just, quote, affected by the shutdown of... You've got to keep coming to work. You'll get paid when it's over.
Oh, I see.
That's what they mean by affected. Is either...
It's not their choice. They have to do what they're told.
Right. So the TSA guy that works in Manchester Airport, he doesn't get to decide whether to come to work or not. He's told by his supervisor if he comes to work or not.
Wow.
So some of these departments... are considered essential.
But
if you're
they're still
essential,
shut down, meaning that they have to work without pay.
Funding has not been authorized for some of these agencies.
Oh, see,
actually, funding hasn't been authorized for any of the, quote, affected agencies.
I see.
Some of them are considered essential.
That's interesting.
TSA, essential.
Okay.
Passport processors, non-essential.
So the passport processors are being told stay home.
Yes.
TSA is being told come in, but we're not going to pay you at the end of the week.
You get paid when the shutdown is over.
Interesting. Now, what will happen to the passport employees? Will they get back pay too once the shutdown is over, even though they didn't go to work?
That's generally how it has happened in the past.
Yeah.
It depends on whatever funding thing Congress comes up with. But, as I understand it, how things have happened in the past, they will get paid once the shutdown is over.
I think that's interesting because I guess I'd figured that it was up to the employee, but no, it's not. They have to just go ahead and
you're
show
told
up.
You're either essential or you're not essential.
And if you don't show up, you get fired.
If you're deemed essential, you must show up.
Or else.
You
might get fired in that case.
Yes.
Well, that's going to upset them, right? Because if the TSA is looking over at the people from the passport office and they're like, well, they're not working at all and they get paid, that's not fair. Because if the passport people come back and they get 4 weeks, if it's 4 weeks and the passport people have been furloughed for, a whole month, and then they come back and get a month's paycheck after the fact, everybody else had to go to work and work without pay. That's going to be they're not going to take too kindly to that, I don't think.
Well, the people that are, still told you have to come to work, they will get back pay.
I know, but they had to work for it.
Right.
The other people just sat at home.
Continuing on, it says NASA and the FDA are among the federal agencies hit by the shutdown as well.
Shut down the FDA. That's a good one.
I don't know if that means the FDA isn't actually doing anything.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. They're not getting into all those details. And that's
roughly 400,000 federal employees will be furloughed. Another 400,000 are deemed essential personnel and are required to stay on the job without compensation during the shutdown.
All right. So now the question is, how many federal government bureaucrats are there? Because there's, millions of them in the military, right? A few million? Yes. If we're not I guess we shouldn't count the post office because they're not officially the federal government. They're kind of a semi-quasi-private agency.
Yeah, they're about as private as Amtrak.
So I wonder what the total number of government... We'll see if we can look that up.
January 11th payday is scheduled for federal employees, the first covering the shutdown period for employees in the affected agencies.
So there are 2 weeks?
Then, sounds like it. Until then, federal employees receive pay as normal according to the Office of Management and Budget, abating some of the urgency for striking a deal now, according to some congressional sources.
According to this story here, it looks like they may have as many as 2 million. I don't know if that includes the military. We'll look into it and give you more info coming up. Hour number 2 is next. You can share your thoughts on whatever's on your mind. We'll talk about weed coming up.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bill Deagle, MD, AAEM, ACAM, A4M of NutriMedical.com, and a consultant providing email advice free on advanced protocols for your optimized wellness and advanced technologies to heal and regenerate you. You can contact us at NutriMedical.com, that's NutriMedical.com, or 888-212-8871. You get free email starter protocols of our top medical-grade nutraceuticals, initial testing, and recommendations for your own primary doctor to do, as well as recommendations to give you an idea of a consultation and a full protocol to try to help you regenerate your tissues, heal naturally without the use of toxic polypharmacy. I can send test kits to you as well anywhere in the world and provide you recommendations to referral of specialty clinics worldwide. So contact me, Dr. Bill Deagle, at NutriMedical.com. That's NutriMedical.com or 888-212-8871.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, December 26, 2018. Silver is trading at $15.01 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,276 per ounce. Zen is trading at $5, and the average price of Bitcoin is $3,780. Antiwar.com reports 1 week after the ceasefire in Yemen's vital aid port of Hodeidah went into effect, a statement from pro-Saudi officials claimed that the Shiite Houthis have committed 183 ceasefire violations since then. Over the course of that time, they say that 10 pro-government troops were killed and 143 wounded. There was no report of Houthi casualties over that period, but the Houthis had similarly reported claims that the other side was violating the ceasefire. Interestingly, the statement also denied that the Saudi coalition had carried out any airstrikes against Hodeidah province, which seems highly unlikely since locals have reported several airstrikes in the area, and the Saudi coalition are the only ones active there with airplanes. These casualties span the whole part of Hodeidah province, and despite there being pretty much daily fighting in the province, the port city of Hodeidah itself is largely quiet. This has allowed both sides to complain of violations while the ceasefire remains largely intact. In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake Security Company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? Will anybody care? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. UPI reports a college in New England had asked a student to remove an anti-Nazi sign from her window. Nicole Parsons, a junior at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, put up a sign in her window that read, "F Nazis" and "You are not welcome here," in response to someone drawing a swastika over a Happy Hanukkah message on the door of a resident assistant. A week after putting the sign in her window, Parsons got an email from the college asking her to take the sign down, reading, "While residence education cannot force you or your roommates to take the sign down, I am asking that you or your roommate take the sign down so that all students can be part of an inclusive residential experience, as well as having a respectful environment to be part of here on our campus." Parsons said, "I was in absolute shock. This email tells me the university cares more about the feelings of Nazis than the safety of their students." After her roommate expressed concern over the attention the sign brought to the room, Parsons did remove it from the window. The University of Massachusetts Amherst later issued a note on its Facebook page saying a student placed a sign in their window that said, "F Nazis." A poorly worded email from a resident's life staff asking student to take down the sign does not reflect the values of the campus, and it should not have been sent. UMass Amherst emphatically rejects Nazis and any other hate group, a view expressed in the student's sign. However, we are sensitive to the use of profanity, which some could find inappropriate. The university respects the student's right to display the sign, and it may remain up. Since September, the school has tracked 19 hate crime reports on campus. Zencash is now Horizon. Horizon is a privacy platform built on zero-knowledge technology with a decentralized secure node architecture. The Horizon platform enables real-life uses beyond currency, including the ability to privately chat with other people. Soon, Horizon will enable you to publish information and go anywhere on the web, all with complete privacy. Horizon, bringing privacy to life. Learn more at horizon.global. HORIZEN.global. Reuters reports an 8-year-old Guatemalan migrant boy died early on Christmas Day after being detained by U.S. border agents, according to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the second migrant child to die in U.S. detention this month. The CPB said the boy and his father were in their custody on Monday when a Border Patrol agent noticed the child showing signs of illness. The father and son were taken to the Gerald Champion Regional Medical Center in Alamogordo, New Mexico, where the boy was diagnosed with a common cold and fever and eventually released by hospital staff. But later that evening, the boy began vomiting and was transferred back to the hospital. Border Patrol said he died there early on Tuesday, adding that the official cause of death was not yet known. The father and son were not identified, and the agency said it would release more details as available and appropriate. Border Patrol said Guatemalan officials have been notified of the death. The boy's death followed the death in early December of a 7-year-old Jacqueline Call, also from Guatemala. She died after being detained along with her father by U.S. border agents in a remote part of New Mexico. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
This is the Onion Week in Review. This week, mothers across the nation invented a new drug to worry about, confirming that the completely fictitious new substance was appearing in schoolyards across the nation and is easily created from simple household products like sugar, window cleaner, and petroleum jelly. Calling the totally made-up narcotic Scramp, mothers in desperate need of something to fret over deluded themselves into constantly agonizing over the widespread drug epidemic that exists solely in their minds.
My son sits in his room for hours and hours. It must be Scramp. He's a Scramp head. I bet they'll figure out how to scramp with this too.
In other news, a man confidently strides through a beaded curtain without parting it. A father takes a picture of his daughter every day from birth until he abandons his family. And the same homeless man is always begging for change on the same United flight. Stalled contract negotiations have prevented me from reviewing any more news until I receive a co-producer credit. But for more, visit theonion.com/newsbeat.
It is Free Talk Live, and we are launching into the second hour of the program here every single day throughout the holidays, bringing you live content with which you can interact if you like. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've also got the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm, so feel free to jump into any one of those. And you can talk to us about whatever you want. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And Daryl.
Daryl, we were just talking in the first hour about this government shutdown that, according to the story you've been reading from Politico about the federal bureaucrats just today basically being told don't come to work, some of them.
Right.
About 400,000, you said, were being furloughed, meaning they're told don't come to work. 400,000 are being told come to work, but we're not going to pay you until this thing gets ironed out.
Correct.
Now, I was trying to figure out how many federal government employees are there, and it depends on what you look at. So if you look at full-time employees, according to one estimate that I saw online, there are about 2 million, excluding the military.
Right.
If you look at overall all government bureaucrats from the federal government, according to FCW.com, so including federal employees, contractors, grant employees,
right, and
active duty military.
It should be pointed out that some of the people that do the cleaning at national parks are contractors.
So this includes federal employees, contractors, grant employees, active duty military, and postal carriers. So when you put them all in, according to this story, it's about 9.1 million.
All right.
So if that were the case, then 800,000 is about 10% of the workforce. But if you're just looking at the full-time civilian bureaucrats, then it's a good chunk of that workforce. Now, we don't know how many of those 400,000 are part-timers versus full-timers. We don't have those breakdowns.
Right. And I saw something, and I don't have it in front of me, where it was talking about the amount of discretionary spending that covers what is currently affected. And there was something, it wasn't an omnibus bill. They referred to it as a minibus bill.
A minibus?
So a miniature omnibus spending bill that covered 77% of discretionary spending. And discretionary spending is, I think, somewhere close to about half of federal spending. Might be, a little more, a little less. But that's the stuff a lot of times people will share. Military spending accounts for 57% of federal spending. No, it accounts for about 57% of discretionary spending. And then there's the other things that are non-discretionary. So Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, things of that sort are not discretionary spending, meaning Congress doesn't get to set the budget of that in any given year. It goes back to things that have been in place long ago, and it's adjusted based on formulas that exist.
Now, did you, I don't know, I didn't ask you during the break, was there more from this Politico story that you thought was worth sharing, or
yes.
should we just call it? All right, hold that thought.
Quotes from the one of the union reps.
Of the federal government workers?
Yes, federal union government rep.
We'll get to that here next. Let's first go to the phones and to your calls and thoughts. Sarah is on the line in New Mexico. Hello, Sarah.
Yes, I
little bit off the topic. I did mention a while ago that I used to know a person who used to have 8 lung tumors. And 8 lung tumors a night, and he asked me what should I take to help with this cancer, and my answer was to take calcium. And he started.
Are you a doctor?
No, I'm not a doctor. I'm just into like holistic health.
Okay, gotcha. So you're not giving medical advice to anybody.
Well, he asked me for advice. I have no idea why. I don't know. He thought I had good advice.
Mm-hmm.
So he asked me, and that's what I heard from Mr. Barefoot, like coral calcium.
Who's Mr. Barefoot?
I talked about.
She's called in about this guy. He's got like a master's degree of something, but acts like he's a medical doctor and sells some supplements.
Well, yeah, I mean, I saw him on the TV, and he said that calcium cures cancer. And I think...
Surprised the FDA hasn't come after the guy.
Yeah, that's something
I think he's got to, to some extent, I think there, is arguably a free speech grounds there, but at the same time, there's definitely some fraud that could be brought up against him.
Well, I do agree that people should be able to make claims if they want to, and it should be in the buyer's position to beware and to check claims against reality and see, whether or not they want to believe them. Because obviously the FDA is, we don't, as libertarians, we don't want to turn to some government agency to be the arbiter of what's right and what's wrong. They're probably wrong about a bunch of stuff. But right now, the legal status is you're not allowed to make claims like that unless you have gotten the FDA's permission to make that particular
That's
claim.
why I said, arguably, there could be a civil case of fraud.
Well, I mean, is he doing it with the intent to defraud, or does he actually believe the thing that he's saying? If he really believes that taking calcium or whatever makes cancer go away, then...
So if I pull out a piece of paper out of the printer over here and I scribble some stuff, and then I really believe that that's an original Picasso and I sell it for $15 million, have I committed fraud?
Well... If you are actually insane and you truly do believe that, because most people don't actually believe what you're saying, right? Like they know they're committing fraud, then it's actually, a lie and with the intention to deceive. If you don't have the intention to deceive and you don't actually you actually believe the thing that you're doing, so like if you're an insane person and you believe you are Picasso and that you have just created a Picasso piece of artwork, well, you're just an insane person and no one should believe what you say. But is that really fraud? No, because you didn't have the intent, I don't think, to deceive anybody because you're insane. You should probably be locked away for your own good, but that's another story.
Well, the result of the 8 lung tumors was that 6 months later, it was in remission. Well, remission means, what does it mean? It means it's getting smaller or going away.
Mm-hmm. As I understand it, yeah. Well, of course, correlation is not causation. You do understand that, right, Sarah? Like, just because you take a thing doesn't necessarily mean that the thing that you took resulted in this other thing happening, right? So just because...
Well, I believe that is true. He asked me for advice. I gave him the answer, take calcium.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess he took, I don't know what form of calcium.
Yeah.
I'm cheap. I don't know. But the end result was it was going in remission. And I'm thinking that the calcium factor had an effect on it.
Well, you can believe what you want to believe, and I'm not going to try to take that away from you. I'm just explaining for the people in our audience who may not be familiar with the concept of correlation is not causation. Just because you do a certain thing that you believe will work, and the thing happens that you wanted to happen you believe it was as a result of that. It wasn't necessarily as a result of that. And the only way to really find that out, or at least get a better indicator of whether or not that's true, is to do a large scientific study looking at people that have tumors and giving them calcium, and then giving another group, what they would call a control group, giving them a placebo.
Yes.
And you could even add a third group where you give them nothing and, look at the results of the large study in that particular case and find out if the calcium group is actually any better off than the other group or the other two groups.
Yes.
And you have not done that. And so, therefore, all you're going on is what you would call a case study or a testimonial, which is really scientifically
the National
not worth
Institute
anything.
of Health did do a study, but unfortunately, it's behind some paywalls, and I can't actually read what they concluded.
Okay, go ahead, Sarah.
Look, I wanted to comment is that they had done this study in the 1950s. But they hushed it. They shut everything up because of the chemotherapy companies. They calcium factored. They had all of these calcium diagnosed cancer tumors, and they gave them 1,500 milligrams of calcium each day. And the tumors, it was all gone. But they kept this a big secret because all of the drug companies that are involved with the cancer.
Sarah, thank you for the call tonight. Sarah's not a doctor, and if you're going to follow her advice, well, it may or may not work for you. Keep that in mind. More coming up. It's Free Talk Live.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Do you operate a retail business and are looking for a solution for point-of-sale cryptocurrency acceptance? It's never been easier thanks to AnyPay.global. There's no paperwork or approval process to open an account. If you already have a tablet at your cash register, you're almost done. Just sign up at AnyPay.global, drop your personal crypto wallet addresses in our setup page, and then load our app. That's it. You're accepting cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Dash at your store. Get started now at AnyPay.global. That's AnyPay.global.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Dial toll free. Join us here on the radio. You can take control of the airwaves. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Well, hope you got your passport already if you were planning on going to Anarchapulco coming up in February, because apparently passport bureaucrats are shut down as part of this government shutdown, the partial shutdown that's been going on over the last few days and really started to take effect today, apparently, according to the story over at Politico that you're sharing with us, Daryl. Anarchapulco, though, is coming up pretty soon. We're just under 2 months away at this point. From February 14th through the 17th. I mean, we're talking about, what, 7 weeks? Something like that?
Something like that.
Ron Paul is going to be the keynote speaker, but he'll be joined by others, including Judge Napolitano and dozens of other great speakers discussing various topics, including entrepreneurship, investments, politics, philosophy, health, sustainability, lifestyles, and personal relationships for 4 days among the sun and beaches of a world-class resort in beautiful Acapulco, Mexico. You can join Free Talk Live because we'll be broadcasting from the event. We'll look forward to seeing you there. It's February 14th through the 17th. You can use code FTL when you get your tickets, and you'll get a discount because you're a Free Talk Live listener. It's anarchapulco.com with code FTL. We'll look forward to seeing you there in mid-February. All right, so Daryl, you said there was more from this Politico story about the bureaucrats being affected by this. Now they're being told so it's 800,000. Half of them are being told, just stay home until we want you back. And then the other half are being told, you got to come in, but you're not going to get paid if this thing's still going through the next pay period.
Correct. And
which is the 11th, apparently.
Yeah. You had mentioned Donald Trump claims that he talked to federal workers and said, quote, these federal workers want the wall.
That's what he said. Some of them want the wall.
But multiple unions representing federal workers have pushed back on that notion. The International Federation of Professional and Technical Engineers, which represents a swath of highly skilled government workers, said in a statement...
That's something you don't hear about very often. Highly skilled government workers? What?
If the president wants to gamble, perhaps he should go back to running casinos.
What's the gamble?
He's gambling with Congress about getting funding for a wall that may or may not ever wind up get funded.
Oh, so this person is worried about the federal jobs. That's what they're saying there.
This is the union rep for federal workers. So, yes, they're worried about the jobs because if federal workers don't get paid, they don't pay union dues. This guy doesn't make any money.
I love that. That's great. I hope they don't.
His statement continues.
They never come back.
Donald Trump is the head of the administrative branch of the government. As the nation's top administrator, he should be deeply concerned about the morale of his employees, the productivity of government agencies, and the ability of the government to attract and retain the best and the brightest. Instead, he is literally tweeting the words, "Poor me," while holding dedicated professionals hostage, creating unnecessary stress and financial hardships for their families, undermining their work productivity, and treating them as chips on a giant poker table.
Good. You know what? I'm not a fan of Trump, but yeah, let's play with these people because you signed up to work for an agency of coercive force. You're working for a criminal enterprise. And you know what? If they want to use you as a bargaining chip, then they're going to use you as a bargaining chip. Hey, that's what you signed up for. If you want a real job where you can be a professional and actually do something of value for people, then quit your job with the government and go get a real job in the productive economy like the rest of us did. So, you know, this bureaucrat with his, or this union thug, not impressive.
Continuing on, at least one federal agency, the IRS, is sounding the alarm about the shutdown, wreaking havoc on the wider public. The agency's union noted that the Republican tax bill goes into effect this season for the first time, meaning IRS employees need to be trained to familiarize themselves with the changes. They've had a whole year.
Yeah, well, now it's important. Now they're really going to get to it.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that it?
Yeah, and then it just sort of goes back over talking about why there's this impasse to where Trump is demanding that Democrats give him $5 billion for a border wall, even though it's not the Democrats that have control of either house of Congress.
Yeah. Good. I hope this continues. I hope that Trump holds by his promise to not end this shutdown until he gets the wall built. Because I don't want to see the wall get built, which means this may go for a long time before these bureaucrats come back.
And, I think if this were an actual shutdown of the entire federal government, then maybe, maybe I would be celebrating. But, right now, me and Jackie, we're going to be getting married soon. She's going to need to get a passport because we're going to Germany in September. And if she's not able to get a passport, then,
I guess you're going alone.
She's not going to Germany with me.
Right. Well, you know what? You can blame Trump at that point. But if it's true if it's actually true, Daryl, that we can get to September, which would be the longest government partial shutdown in history, from what I understand, because the longest one went for 2 months or something like that, like decades ago, or if I recall correctly. It's been a while. I know the last time it happened, we went over what the history of these things was.
I'm not sure if one's gone more than like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, okay, so maybe a month or something like that. If we can actually make it to September, there's going to be some consequences. People are going to quit their jobs.
Right.
And if that's actually what happens as a result of this, that should be celebrated. If the federal government workforce shrinks because Trump has basically stuck his feet in the mud, that's a good thing.
If they start rolling back regulations as well of, you no longer need a passport for international travel. Not you have to have a passport, but the one agency that issues passports isn't allowed to issue passports.
Well, I mean, Germany's going to require it, right? Don't you think?
Maybe, unless there might be some unilateral treaty or bilateral treaty of, we require passports, you require passports, let's tweak that a little bit.
Well, that would be a wonderful, fanciful thing to happen, and I don't expect
probably
that to happen.
There's not going to be rollbacks of any regulations here.
Of course not.
It's going to wind up costing taxpayers even more money, as it always does when there's one of these shutdowns.
Why? Is it because they're paying overtime for the people to go set up the barriers at the park or something?
That's what always happens. Yeah, because we've got to repay these people for time that they missed. These other people that are told they're essential employees, some of them are working overtime, so they're getting paid extra monies. All of the signage that has to get printed about things being shut down. There's always, and I can find an article from one of the previous shutdowns showing how much extra it costs to shut down the government.
Yeah.
But it's not saving anybody any money ever.
Well, no, of course it's not going to save anybody money because they're just going to tax you regardless of what happens. It's not like
And then they're spending more money for this phony shutdown.
Sure. And, like I said, the government's going to tax people regardless of what the current shutdown status is.
Right.
The IRS is going to be there. They're going to do their thing.
Money's still getting stolen out of your paycheck. Right. Government didn't shut down.
But it's not a bad thing if this actually goes long enough to where government bureaucrats quit their jobs. Even that's not going to reduce the amount of cost of the government because the agencies are still going to have whatever they had budgeted to them, even whether or not the person shows up at the end of the day or not.
Right, and then they'll just have people work overtime to file all the papers that the guy that quit didn't file.
Yeah, and they'll likely hire somebody else. But it could be a good thing that if it becomes such a questionable thing as to whether or not you're going to have your job or
let's just abolish the federal government.
Well, yeah,
how about that?
I'd love to do that. Unfortunately, nobody is going to propose that.
I'm proposing it right now.
You're not running for president right now. More coming up. It's Free Talk Live.
At WolfHillAmmo.com, we love shotguns. We offer the best specialty shotgun ammo on the market, including our defensive combo packs for home and retreat. Our less lethal combo is good for animal control, the 4-legged kind and 2-legged. When lethal force is necessary, reach for our Stop 'em, Drop 'em or our home defense self-defense combos. These 5-round packs include different heavy hitters to protect your loved ones. Visit wolfhillammo.com to see our great prices on these combo packs and other specialty shotgun ammo rounds. wolfhillammo.com.
Hear that? That's the sound of a house being trashed while a gang of thieves ransack the place. And what they don't steal will be destroyed.
This year, resolve not to be the next victim of a break-in. Go to faketv.com and discover a device that creates the illusion someone inside is watching TV, even when you're miles away. Security is a mindset, and Fake TV should be part of your security solution. Be vigilant, but not fearful. faketv.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with AgristHosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to AgristHosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's AgristHosting.com.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. Dial in toll free to bring up whatever's on your mind. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Daryl.
855-450-FREE is the toll-free number. That's 855-450-3733. We do have the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm, where you can join us and talk about anything that you want. As we continue here, we're changing gears, getting away from the government so-called shutdown into bureaucracy surrounding the marijuana business, specifically out in California. The headline came out on Christmas Eve, in this case, from UPI.com, where thousands of pounds of marijuana products have been recalled last week in California, nearly a month after a lab was caught falsifying pesticide test reports, threatening what some had thought would become the nation's most promising state for the cannabis business. But the recall last week by the state's Bureau of Cannabis Control for 29 businesses that had products tested at Sacramento-based Sequoia Analytical Labs proved to be another stumble out of the gate for California marijuana. Under California law, all consumable marijuana products for sale must be tested and analyzed for 66 known pesticides. Agents found Sequoia's lab director, Mark Foster, had been faking the reports since July about testing for 22 of the pesticides, and he was fired as a result of that. According to the bureaucracy, in a letter to the businesses announcing the recall covering 848 batches of marijuana tested by Sequoia, quote, any cannabis goods from these batches returned by consumers to the retailer must be destroyed.
Well, technically, and I realize that I'm getting somewhat pedantic here, but cannabis, as it's used, is destroyed.
Yes.
But I think what they mean here is it's supposed to be destroyed in a manner that does not wind up getting someone high.
Now, they actually also apparently said in the letter, any cannabis goods returned from a retailer's inventory or remaining in your inventory may be destroyed or may be resampled and retested after obtaining approval from the Bureau. Any cannabis goods from these batches may not be released to a retailer without resampling and retesting, according to the letter.
But it sounds like it's one of those things of a lot of fast food restaurants have this rule of once it crosses the counter, it can't go back over the counter and be re-put into the supply.
Yeah, sounds like that.
We handed you this cheeseburger and we forgot the cheese. Gotta throw it right in the garbage.
Right. Even though somebody else could have eaten it.
Or they could have just put a slice of cheese
on the burger.
On my burger.
Ezekiel Allen, the chairman of Emerald Grown, a co-op made up of about 100 licensed growers, mostly north of San Francisco, said that merchants and marijuana farmers have already been burdened by taxes, licenses, and a long string of compliances this year before the costly recall. According to the San Francisco Chronicle, he says, quote, the recall is yet another cut in the death by 1,000 paper cut scenario that is playing out for so many producers in the state. The regulated market will only thrive when producers and consumers have confidence in the labs. Right now, that confidence is something that we don't have.
And I remember reading somewhere earlier, earlier this year, that taxes on cannabis in California in some jurisdictions could be as high as 50%.
Jeez, that's insane.
Because in addition to
that's not the regulatory cost. That's just the tax.
That's just the visible tax.
Wow.
So in addition to the 15% state sales tax, and then the cultivation tax of $9.25 per ounce for flowers, or $2.75 per ounce for leaves. There's also county tax and municipal tax. So once you add all of those taxes up, in some places it could be as high as 50%.
Man, that is crazy. And then, of course, all these businesses are having to jump through, as they described it, the death of 1,000 paper cuts, constant regulations, mandates, because every plant's got to be tagged. It's got to be RFID'd. It's got to, everybody's got to know where it is at all times. There's a ridiculous amount of controls that these state governments, because it's not just California. I'm sure California is probably the worst of all of them, but many of these states have similar regulatory schemes. A lot of them are just, boilerplate copied and pasted from the states that already have these things.
Right.
But these are all very, very costly, and it makes it so it's very hard to compete even with the black market.
Right.
And by the way, it's worth pointing out here that, California acting as though all these tests are so important, we got to keep everybody safe from the devil weed that could be grown with pesticides. It's so dangerous, even though for, decades, this product was sold without a single test ever. Right? In the black market, you just get whatever it is that you get. Whatever it is that the dealer who has, that's what you get. You may not even know what it's called. Now, the black market, that started to shift where dealers will have a certain product in inventory that they know what the name of it is. But I can remember back in the late 1990s, the early aughts, you just got what you got.
It'll get you high.
Yeah. And that was it.
It'll get you really high.
You could look at it and you could say, you could sort of judge by the appearance, and you could say, oh, this is the, Mexican brickweed because it's been compressed and there's a lot of seeds. Oh, this is the Mexican outdoor that they didn't compress and it's less seedy. Oh, this is from British Columbia. It's some kind of fancy cannabis. It looks nicer. It doesn't have seeds. So basically, you'd have to just kind of go by what you heard and go by. But and now there's all these ridiculous tests that are involved here.
So I pulled up the San Francisco Gate article that was mentioned in that UPI piece. And they mention a few things, and I'm going to go out of order here. They say the 30 or so other cannabis testing laboratories in California will be dealing with new testing guidelines for heavy metals starting January 1st, and the recall and closure could cause major complications. Many fear a bottleneck as the laboratories start adding staffing and equipment in an attempt to keep up with demand. The laboratories now test cannabis for potency, residual solvents, mold, fungus, bacteria, and pesticides. In addition, edibles have to be analyzed to make sure they have no more than 10 milligrams per serving of THC.
That's not a whole lot.
Pesticide limits for cannabis are among the most strict in the country, in some cases exceeding state and federal law governing orchards and other crops.
So they've gone completely overboard with all of this testing.
How much money are we talking about here of product? Because that's not mentioned. It just says 850 batches, tens of thousands of pounds of flour, and an equal amount of other products like oils and vaping materials are subject to the recall. And Lauren Frazier, the executive director with the Cannabis Distribution Association, says we're talking about tens of millions of dollars worth of product.
Wow.
It's just very unfortunate that consumers didn't have trustworthy results, and everyone in the supply chain has to go back and reevaluate those relationships. Refunds could cost growers, distributors, and retailers bundles of money.
Yeah, that's frustrating. And then you're giving back all this money and you have nothing left. You can't resell the same product that came back in.
Right.
So you're just SOL.
Yeah. Oh, it's already past the counter. You can't resell it. Doesn't matter that it's unopened.
Right.
Can't sell it.
And of course, you know, in a free market, which no state has a free market on, cannabis distribution, except if you consider the black market to be the free market.
Right.
In a free market, you could, well, first of all, there wouldn't be a government mandating testing process at all.
Correct.
Now, that's not to say there wouldn't be testing, because the businesses would want to be able to, when we went down to Massachusetts on our little field trip, we went down to
on Green Tuesday,
Northampton, first day of selling legal recreational cannabis. Everything that you could buy in that store was labeled, and people want to know what the THC percentage is. So the consumers will be demanding this, and consumers don't want to have a bunch of pesticides likely sprayed all over their crops that are dangerous to them. So these are all things that the market may test for anyway. But the consumer should be able to make a choice. The consumer should be able to say, you know what, I'm willing to take the risk. Because if it were a free market, and let's say this scandal happened, right? Like you have a testing lab, you're doing it voluntarily, and the lab's falsifying results, and you find out about this, then you can
nobody's going to use that lab.
Well, right, but you did use them, and you found out after the fact, and you've got all this tested weed that really wasn't actually tested. You could then just label it and say, here, half price. You're taking a risk. We don't know whether or not there were chemicals sprayed on this. I guarantee you, people are going to be willing to take that risk. More coming up.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
You want to know the 37 items you must have to survive a crisis? Then I've got some good news for you. Former CIA officer and New York Times best-selling author Jason Hansen is now giving listeners a free copy of his book, The Escape Bag Blueprint, 37 Items You Must Have to Survive a Crisis. You can claim your copy at freeescapebook.com. Don't delay. Jason reveals the guns, knives, flashlights, and water filters that could save your life in an economic collapse or grid-down event. Get your free book today, freeescapebook.com. freeescapebook.com.
By now you know that wireless technology like cell phones do in fact pose dangers to the health and privacy of everyone. Block-It Pocket's wide range of products are unmatched in providing the protection you deserve. No scare tactics, just common sense. BlockItPocket.com offers quality American-made options to alleviate and eliminate these invisible dangers. Learn more at BlockItPocket.com or call 888-315-9618. BlockItPocket.com, enhancing health and privacy.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com, or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Talking about the ridiculous regulations that are controlling the cannabis industry in California and may even be controlling it to its death. Daryl's got a little bit more from the story from the San Francisco Gate. Is that right?
Yes.
We'll continue with that coming up here. And, of course, you can share your thoughts with us. By the way, Bitcoin, great opportunity, especially if you're in the cannabis industry. You ought to be taking cryptocurrency. In fact, a lot of people ought to be taking cryptocurrency. People just don't know enough about it yet, though, and you've got to get the basics down. There are some very important paradigm-shifting changes about the way cryptocurrency operates that you really need to have a grasp of before you get into it. So I would recommend that you go to Bitcoin.com, start up with their Bitcoin Academy over at Bitcoin.com. That'll get you started on the road to understanding and appreciating and hopefully embracing the idea of cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. Go to Bitcoin.com to get started with that. Now, Daryl, we talked about the huge recall that apparently has affected tens of thousands, I think was the claim, of pounds. It said thousands of pounds in the UPI story, and then I think you said tens of thousands.
Tens of millions of dollars worth of product.
Okay. But still, thousands of pounds of cannabis-related products, the actual flowers or whatever other things might have been made from them. being recalled. Now, of course, not every customer is going to hear about the recall. Not every customer is going to care about it.
Right.
But there will be some people that go in. What percentage of them? I don't know.
Right. And apparently, part of this testing, in addition to testing for the THC level in edibles, and I read off the list of everything that's looked for, 66 pesticides.
Mm-hmm.
The lab in question, Sequoia, failed to test for 22 of those
pesticides. They falsified the reports.
Right. Article here says that this is not the first time that problems have cropped up with testing. Steep Hill Labs in Berkeley was suspended for 10 weeks earlier in the year after failing to meet the state testing protocol for 2 pesticides. Tony Daniel, the chief revenue officer, said Steep Hill has since invested in the most sophisticated equipment available and is, quote, squeaky clean. He says, we're the biggest lab in the world, the best funded, and if we're having these problems, some of the others, I think, are in a world of trouble. The problems come as the industry is faced with a host of other problems, mostly due to the cost of compliance and testing.
The government forcing all of these rules on these companies, basically putting them close to being out of business now.
Many growers have gone out of business or turned completely to the black market. As a result, merchants have seen a drastic decline.
Whoa.
San Francisco Gate says in some cases 70 to 80% in the number of brands and products available on the shelves.
Wow, that's a huge drop.
Yeah.
All as a result of the government forcing all these rules on people. Does the government actually intend to create a restricted marketplace, or are they just doing it because they think they're helping?
I think they think they're helping, while also trying to restrict. Well, we can't just have everybody selling cannabis.
Well, now they're only going to have like a couple companies, is what it sounds like.
Right.
Because if you put all the little guys out of business and only the most well-funded testing company is the only one that's left, what's that going to do to the prices of testing?
Right. And it's
going to raise them.
It even said up here somewhere that these tests are a lot more strict than what the federal government requires for agriculture.
Yeah.
So imagine if FedGov, that's currently supposedly shut down, started requiring all of these tests for everything sold in the grocers, and then you saw a 70 to 80% reduction in the products and brands available on the shelf.
You'd go to the grocer and there'd be one kind of apples, there'd be one kind of tomato, you'd be lucky to find any broccoli. Who knows what would be on the shelves?
That there would probably only be General Mills in the grocery or in the cereal aisle. Now, luckily, they've got more than just one type of cereal.
Yeah.
But, where's the competition?
Well, right. What you're pointing out here is these rules are already putting people out of business in California. And because the rules are so stringent, it's going to serve as a deterrent for people who want to get into the business. They're just going to say, like they pointed out, the growers are like, let's just go back to the black market. Why bother with all this crap? We were making a bunch of money before, and we didn't have to do all this testing. And so now they're going to be running them out of business or running them back into the black market. And that's going to result in only the most well-funded, as he mentioned with that lab, the most well-funded, most lawyered up of all of the companies. They're going to be the ones that dominate the marketplace in California because they can afford to jump through the hoops.
Right.
And before you know it, you're going to have one or two different producers and one or two different types of product. I mean, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit here, but it does not sound good.
Yeah, you'll have rolled cigarette, a tincture, an oil that might be able to go into a vape. I don't know if vapes are even allowed in California because everything in California is a known carcinogen.
What about the medical people? Like, presumably, because California had medical before anybody else. How did this get so screwed up? I mean, California went medical before any other state. It was 1996 when they went medical. It got to the point where you could just wander into some doctor's office, tell him you had a hurt back or you slept better when you smoked weed, and then he'd give you a prescription.
Right.
And then you could just get the weed. And like nobody was... I never heard about these stories back then. Were there not as many testing requirements on the medical weed? Why did the medical side of things, manage to do so well in California?
Good
and this
question.
And the retail end seems to be in major jeopardy now.
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's not something that any of the articles that I'm seeing about this even touch on.
It's very strange. So if you want to weigh in, maybe you're out in California, you know a little bit more about what's going on out there, feel free. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. And just today, you and I, Daryl, you found out that there's a legalization bill, at least one, that's going to be coming up in New Hampshire. And then another listener of ours posted like at least 8 or 10 more cannabis-related pieces of legislation.
All dealing with therapeutic.
Sure, but expanding and making it more
allowing
accessible.
for home grow, which is something that the Democratic governor that signed therapeutic cannabis into law,
she refused to allow.
Said that she would veto the bill if home grow were allowed. I believe the current governor has also said he would veto home grow.
What a son of a bitch.
He's also said he would veto legalization.
Yeah, he said that.
He vetoed a repeal of the death penalty earlier this year.
They almost had enough for an override on that, too.
Yeah, they were, I think, 1 or 2 votes short in the Senate.
So that might actually get overridden this time around, maybe.
I think it will.
Again.
I think it will.
But they have to wait until next year to do that, right? If they just did it once. Isn't there like a 2-year wait window in New Hampshire?
No. So it's every biennium. So there's a new biennium that starts in January.
Oh, okay.
So if the same group of people and there's not been an election...
Yeah,
then you can't. So 2019 is the first year of the biennium.
Gotcha.
So if it fails in 2019, they can't do it in 2020.
Got it.
But if they try it in 2020, they can do it in 2021 because it's a different biennium.
I follow you. Okay, so we've got some, cannabis changes potentially on the, the horizon here in New Hampshire,
right?
Which is very interesting. The people in favor of legalization in the State House have been fairly strong. They've been well supported. There's been a large number of them that have supported this. So it could come to a veto override on that as well.
Right.
And when you and I were looking at the breakdowns of the new people elected to the Senate, we didn't know. We had a bunch of question marks about where some of these new senators, because a lot of the bad ones were overturned. They were they got out of office. Not all of them, but some.
Right. There are still several bad ones that are still in there.
Yeah. So we don't know if they've got enough for the override or not.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But there was also the Commission to Study Taxing and Regulating,
which was full
cannabis.
Of cops.
It was, but they wound up coming up with a fairly lengthy report, which they had to
As they usually do.
And on the one page it said, we're not making any recommendations, but if the legislature is to make any changes, taxing and regulating would not be the worst thing ever.
Okay.
Now, I'm paraphrasing.
I think it'd be a bad thing for them to tax and regulate, but
I
see what they're
saying.
saying.
The options are keep it criminal or tax and regulate. Those were the two options that they were looking at.
Of course.
They weren't looking at, let's treat it like tomatoes.
Yeah, let's treat it like freedom, where you can actually just grow the thing you want and sell the thing you want to sell.
Even the Marijuana Policy Project and NORML aren't advocating for treat it like tomatoes.
No, they're advocating for regulations.
Right.
Which is why I can't support them.
Right.
I mean, I'll run their advertising just because they're better than, nobody, but I'm not excited about regulatory structures. I'm not excited about giving the Liquor Commission, if that's who ends up with it, because here in New Hampshire, the Liquor Commission has total control over distribution of distilled spirits.
Yeah.
And, of course, they have control over the other things. It's just they allow grocery stores and convenience stores to sell beer and wine. But they've got state-run liquor stores, and I do not want to see state-run marijuana stores here in New Hampshire.
Those would not be allowed under federal law.
Interesting. More coming up here in moments. Although they're doing that up in Canada in some of the provinces. More coming
Different
up.
government.
Free Talk Live.
Marijuana has unleashed a green gold rush across our nation. It's creating $10.8 billion in new wealth a year. And every day, it's transforming more and more Americans into millionaires. In an historic event, former Speaker of the House John Boehner reveals how you could become one of them. Join him online for the American Cannabis Summit. Attendance is 100% free, but space is limited. Join online at www.acs2018.com. This event is the first of its kind ever. John Boehner and an esteemed panel will reveal which cannabis stocks are primed to deliver life-changing windfalls in the weeks and months ahead. Plus, they will show you how to become a cannabis angel investor, backing the hottest startups before they potentially become worth billions of dollars. Join American Cannabis Summit online at acs2018.com. Attendance is free. That's acs2018.com.
Should you be able to earn an honest living free from senseless government interference? The Institute for Justice thinks so. That's why we've spent years defending hard-working men and women from pointless government regulations. Nationwide, IJ has created opportunity by reducing government power. But there is still more work to be done. Visit our website today at ij.org. Let IJ take care of the government so you can take care of your business.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, December 26, 2018. Silver is trading at $15.01 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,276 per ounce. Zen is trading at $5, and the average price of Bitcoin is $3,780. Antiwar.com reports 1 week after the ceasefire in Yemen's vital aid port of Hodeidah went into effect, a statement from pro-Saudi officials claimed that the Shiite Houthis have committed 183 ceasefire violations since then. Over the course of that time, they say that 10 pro-government troops were killed and 143 wounded. There was no report of Houthi casualties over that period, but the Houthis had similarly reported claims that the other side was violating the ceasefire. Interestingly, the statement also denied that the Saudi coalition had carried out any airstrikes against Hodeidah province, which seems highly unlikely since locals have reported several airstrikes in the area, and the Saudi coalition are the only ones active there with airplanes. These casualties span the whole part of Hodeidah province, and despite there being pretty much daily fighting in the province, the port city of Hodeidah itself is largely quiet. This has allowed both sides to complain of violations while the ceasefire remains largely intact. In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake's security company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? Will anybody care? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. UPI reports a college in New England had asked a student to remove an anti-Nazi sign from her window. Nicole Parsons, a junior at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, put up a sign in her window that read, "F Nazis" and "You are not welcome here," in response to someone drawing a swastika over a Happy Hanukkah message on the door of a resident assistant. A week after putting the sign in her window, Parsons got an email from the college asking her to take the sign down, reading, "While residence education cannot force you or your roommates to take the sign down, I am asking that you or your roommate take the sign down so that all students can be part of an inclusive residential experience, as well as having a respectful environment to be part of here on our campus." Parsons said, "I was in absolute shock. This email tells me the university cares more about the feelings of Nazis than the safety of their students." After her roommate expressed concern over the attention the sign brought to the room, Parsons did remove it from the window. The University of Massachusetts Amherst later issued a note on its Facebook page saying a student placed a sign in their window that said, "F Nazis." A poorly worded email from a resident's life staff asking student to take down the sign does not reflect the values of the campus, and it should not have been sent. UMass Amherst emphatically rejects Nazis and any other hate group, a view expressed in the student's sign. However, we are sensitive to the use of profanity, which some could find inappropriate. The university respects the student's right to display the sign, and it may remain up. Since September, the school has tracked 19 hate crime reports on campus. Zencash is now Horizon. Horizon is a privacy platform built on zero-knowledge technology with a decentralized secure node architecture. The Horizon platform enables real-life uses beyond currency, including the ability to privately chat with other people. Soon, Horizon will enable you to publish information and go anywhere on the web, all with complete privacy. Horizon, bringing privacy to life. Learn more at horizon.global. HORIZEN.global. Reuters reports an 8-year-old Guatemalan migrant boy died early on Christmas Day after being detained by U.S. border agents, according to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the second migrant child to die in U.S. detention this month. The CPB said the boy and his father were in their custody on Monday when a Border Patrol agent noticed the child showing signs of illness. The father and son were taken to the Gerald Champion Regional Medical Center in Alamogordo, New Mexico, where the boy was diagnosed with a common cold and fever and eventually released by hospital staff. But later that evening, the boy began vomiting and was transferred back to the hospital. Border Patrol said he died there early on Tuesday, adding that the official cause of death was not yet known. The father and son were not identified, and the agency said it would release more details as available and appropriate. Border Patrol said Guatemalan officials have been notified of the death. The boy's death followed the death in early December of a 7-year-old Jacqueline Call, also from Guatemala. She died after being detained along with her father by U.S. border agents in a remote part of New Mexico. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Jack Daniels announced today its plan to start marketing directly to children, adding, quote, "Why not?" Executives for the whiskey company told reporters that they've already slated dozens of television spots showing 10-year-old children drinking tumblers of Jack and Coke in playgrounds, and that the company was planning on, quote, "just seeing how it all played out."
Every year, Jack Daniels sells millions of dollars of great American whiskey to men and women all over the world. So, for our next ad campaign, we basically just thought, hey, why not just start marketing this stuff straight to 10-year-olds? I mean, if they catch us, they catch us, but we'll see how far it goes, and hopefully we can sell some alcohol along the way. Sure, some parents groups could get upset, especially if we go with our idea of moms serving their kids cranberry Jack at snack time. But
in other news, a doomed rabbit will teach an 8-year-old a lesson about responsibility, and a torrent of soap issues from a wildly unexpected part of the dispenser. Well, that was it. It's all downhill from here, bud. For more, visit theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. You can dial in here toll free to bring up whatever you want. Our number, it's 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. And by the way, we are here live on this holiday week edition of Free Talk Live. We're here every single day throughout the holidays, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. We're going to be here.
Tonight's Boxing Day.
Yep. Did you figure out what that is? Boxing Day? It's Canadian, right?
As I understand, it's a Canadian-British sort of thing. As I understand it, it has to do with putting things in boxes.
Okay.
It's like you just finished your holiday,
put everything
whatnot,
away.
You put everything in boxes, put it away.
Well,
those Christmas lights that we just put up,
you put up Christmas
2
Eve.
days ago. Yeah.
So, hey, whatever. They're there. They actually look pretty good. It's nice having a little lighting outside. So, you can bring up anything you want here. Ian and Daryl in the studio. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Also, you can join us on our Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. And here's a story that I actually had in prep that we didn't get a chance to talk about. The protests going on outside of the Amazon Fulfillment Center. Maybe at least one, maybe more than one of them. Because we've heard about some of the Amazon employees being upset about their working conditions.
Right, and I know that we've covered the various letters from Google employees to Google CEOs about various projects.
You mean like the Dragonfly where they're upset about that?
Yeah.
So, well, this is Amazon in this case, which, as of right now, the two companies aren't related. Maybe
right, I'm just pointing out, like big giant companies with disgruntled employees. We've covered those.
Yes, not uncommon for employees to be
there's
disgruntled.
Probably been some Walmart employees doing something.
We haven't heard about it.
Every now and then there's been the McDonald's employees that'll
The fight for
walk
15.
off the job and hashtag fight for 15.
Yep.
And the robots love those protests, by the way,
Because they get more robot installs, you mean?
Yeah, the robots will wind up flipping burgers.
Headline from Gizmodo.com in Shakopee, Minnesota. If local headlines are to be believed, not much happens in Shakopee. But on Friday evening, this placid town of 40,000 on the outskirts of Minnesota's Twin Cities became the epicenter of the fight for humane working conditions at one of the world's most valuable companies. Really? People don't think we've got humane working conditions in the year 2018. Back when 100 years ago, little kids were having their arms torn off in factories and things like that. Now, we still don't have humane working conditions after all this time. I don't buy the claims.
I'm curious what the non-humane working conditions are.
Yeah, we're going to hear more about this here.
In this center in Shakopee.
Right, because if they were so horrible, then why would anybody work there in the first place? But let's go on. For the last 2 years, Amazon has quietly expanded its presence in the suburb, and worker resentment towards conditions there has grown with it, culminating in today's protest. Now, this was about not quite 2 weeks ago. Culminating in the protest outside the fulfillment center MSP1, a sprawling 850,000 square foot structure abutting a heavy industrial zone. So, think about your typical department store might be what, 80,000 square feet or something like that. This is a monster facility. It's big.
Right.
Attended by local activists and joined by Amazon workers ending their shifts. It ended with approximately 250 people marching on the building's main entrance. The discontent primarily began as a reaction to allegations that the pace Amazon set for its workers, many of whom are practicing Muslims, was impacting their religious freedom. The United States is home to the largest population of Somalis besides Yemen, many of whom fled to the U.S. to escape genocide, civil war, and terrorism, and the overwhelming majority of them reside in Minnesota. As reported by Gizmodo in June, Amazon structures its performance metrics in such a way that makes basic necessities like prayer or bathroom breaks prohibitively difficult, sometimes leading to docked pay or termination for those who cannot meet the company's arduous expectations. Friday's protest was intended to pressure Amazon to not only improve working conditions and allow for proper religious expression, but to create a fund that addresses racial disparities in the community and set up an independent review body for HR complaints. Now, before we go on with the story here, we don't have Will Coley in the studio with us here, but one of our co-hosts, sometimes here on Free Talk Live, hosts his own show, Call to Freedom. We had Arya actually on last night, who's his co-host on Call to Freedom. But Will's a Muslim. He's actually an imam here at the local, the mosque. And Will's got a job. He goes out and he does his work. And I haven't asked him, did your job give you, special compensation, special breaks so you could do the 5 daily prayers that a Muslim is supposed to? I mean, he's not there 24 hours, but whatever prayers might happen during the time frames.
Right, because he does work a shift where I know that there's at least one prayer.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know what the rules are on. Well, can you put it off till you get off your shift, or does it have to happen at a very specific time? If it does have to happen at a very specific time, then what I would suggest to people who have very strict religious requirements, rather than protesting about this, is to talk to your human resources department before you get the job and say, hey, I'm a Muslim, and I'm going to need to make sure that I get at least, in an 8-hour shift, I'm going to have a break here and a break there so I can, go and point towards Mecca and, and do whatever prayer it is that I need to do. And then let the company decide, well, we really want to hire you, so yes, we're willing to let you have this extra break that no other employees are going to receive.
Right.
Otherwise, they should be able to say no right then and say, you know what, sorry, we can't give that to you. Nobody else asks us for that. Why should we give you special dispensation just because you have a religion?
Right.
And I'm sorry, I don't think that somebody's religion should be a factor in whether or not they can get a job. I mean, I don't think that a company should necessarily bend to the desires of religions. I don't necessarily think that should be the case. If they want to, then sure, go for it.
Right.
Especially in an area in which there's a high Muslim, population, maybe it makes sense to have a special dispensation for that.
Right, and this is one of those tricky things, and my statement of the facts is not an endorsement of the facts as they currently exist, but under federal law, through the equal opportunity, employment stuff, you can't, if, through the hiring process, somebody says, I'm a Muslim, blah, 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 you can't then say, we're not hiring you because you're a Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
That, under federal law, would be religious discrimination.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't want to do that, no.
Right, so, there's this really tricky sort of line
but
that an employer would have to walk. But just because the person's a Muslim
doesn't mean that the employer has to give them a special break for their prayer time.
Right. But your question was, or maybe I just misunderstood the question you were asking. I thought you were asking about, should employers be allowed to not hire someone because they're a Muslim? And under federal law, they can't say, we're not hiring you because you're a Muslim.
No, I don't think I asked a question. I think I just said that if an employer doesn't want to give a special dispensation to somebody because they have a religion,
right,
they shouldn't have to. But if that benefits the employer because they really want to hire this person, like, all right, fine, yeah, we want you bad enough, you can have an extra break where nobody else gets that extra break. The atheists on the crew don't get that break. The Christians on the crew don't get that break. But we'll give you a special break just because we really want you working here.
Right.
But if it's, I'm not saying that they should be able to say no.
Right.
To
I've had jobs before where smokers would get extra breaks where I don't smoke. I didn't get breaks.
Yeah, I've had that job too when I worked in retail. Amazon has little room, says Gizmodo, which obviously has an opinion, little room to plead ignorance to the calls of the workers in Shakopee. Similar labor actions took place in its home base of Seattle nearly 2 years ago when Muslim security workers held a pray-in to protest Amazon's unwillingness to provide a prayer space. Bloomberg reported that activists within the Shakopee facilities previously brought demands to Amazon over the summer when the Muslim holiday of Ramadan intersected with Prime Day, an annual celebration of consumerism, is how Gizmodo puts it.
That really is what Prime Day is. It was a day created by Amazon to sell you stuff.
Sure. Whether that's a celebration of consumerism or not is another
Here,
question.
buy a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
It's discounted. Buy our stuff.
It's called a sale, Darryl. Would Gizmodo say that every sale that a company has is a celebration of consumerism? No, it's just
not
an
every sale is a
opportunity.
made-up holiday.
More coming up here. It's Free Talk Live. You can call it what you want.
You want to know the 37 items you must have to survive a crisis? Then I've got some good news for you. Former CIA officer and New York Times best-selling author Jason Hansen is now giving listeners a free copy of his book, The Escape Bag Blueprint, 37 Items You Must Have to Survive a Crisis. You can claim your copy at freeescapebook.com. Don't delay. Jason reveals the guns, knives, flashlights, and water filters that could save your life in an economic collapse or grid-down event. Get your free book today, freeescapebook.com. freeescapebook.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, the inventor of MyPillow, and like all of you out there, I had problems sleeping. Pillows would go flat, I would flip-flop all night long, I would wake up with a sore neck, maybe a headache, or feel like I needed a nap even though I slept 8 hours. When I invented MyPillow, I wanted it to where you can move the patented fill to give you the exact support you need as an individual, regardless of sleep position. MyPillow will get you into that deep sleep faster and you will stay there longer. It's not about how much time we spend in bed, it's about how much of that quality sleep we get. I do all of my own manufacturing right here in the United States. I have a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry MyPillow, and I give you a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose.
And here's Mike's best offer ever. MyPillow is now offering 50% off their 4-pack special plus free shipping. Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-951-5617 and use promo code FTL. That's 50% off plus free shipping. Don't delay. Order now.
A report released Tuesday by physicists at Stanford University revealed that the entire known universe, from the whole of human civilization to the totality of matter and energy, is actually the fictional setting of a cop show called Hard Case. According to authors of the report, existence as we know it was created solely to provide the framework for the primetime drama that airs weekly in a parallel universe, and that every historical event prior to the show's September 2008 pilot, including the Renaissance, World War II, evolution, the September 11th attacks, and the presidential administrations of Washington through Clinton, never actually happened and are merely part of the elaborate backstory crafted by Hard Case creator and showrunner Dominic Egan.
We used to believe that our universe operated under immutable laws of thermodynamics and gravitational relativity, but now we know everything just comes from the minds of Hard Case's 12 staff writers. Overall, it seems like a very well-written show.
Physicists have theorized that the universe as we know it will cease to exist whenever Hard Case airs its final episode.
This is the Onion News Network.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Daryl.
The toll-free number for you to take control of the airwaves is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've also got the Discord on-air call-in line rooms where you can join a discussion if you want. We're talking about a protest that went on this month outside of one of the Amazon facilities in their fulfillment centers, basically. This humongous 850,000 square foot structure. About 250 people marched at the building's main entrance a couple of weeks ago. Gizmodo has the story, and it's all actually apparently about religious issues.
Well, that's what Gizmodo is focusing on. I've got a story from the Minneapolis Star-Tribune that's talking about a couple of different things. One of them is the prayer time. The other is about the production quotas, where it says the production quotas are so high that many employees say that it's unrealistic, causing employees to fear losing their jobs. One of the workers has worked at the Amazon facility for more than a year and says during that time, he said the number of boxes he's expected to pack has increased by 50%.
Oh, you can do this? Well, now do this. Well, now do this.
Yeah.
Sure.
Do 1.5 times what you've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
He says it's really difficult. Sometimes after he gets off work at 5 o'clock, he doesn't have the energy to take a shower and just goes to bed with his shoes still on.
Jeez. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's any fun working for Amazon. I probably wouldn't want that job either. In fact, they do get into a few other complaints here in this story as well about the temperatures and other things.
The East African workers also face a lack of advancement opportunities, with few ever being selected for promotions.
Well, no kidding. I mean, you've got a huge facility, 850,000 square feet, where there's probably plenty of robots that you're working alongside that, of course,
robots don't get hired to management positions.
I understand that. But my point is, you're more likely to be replaced by a robot than you are going to be promoted to management. And over however many hundreds of workers they might have, or even thousands, I don't know how many people actually work at this huge facility.
There's
only going to be so many management positions. So in any top-down corporate structure, there's always a limited amount of advancement opportunity. You just probably aren't going to get there from where you are. And do you really want that anyway? Is that what you're, aspiring towards, is to be a middle manager at an Amazon facility that you hate? Because it doesn't sound like they're very happy here. Now, Jaylani Hussein, who is the executive director of the Minnesota chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations, said he toured the facility, and what he says he saw was a company that did not know who they were employing. The action outside MSP1, that's the name of the facility, was organized in part by the Awood Center, which is Somali. The Awood is Somali for power, a relatively new and lean group focused on workers' rights in the East African community around Minneapolis. Though Amazon disagreed with the characterization, the New York Times previously reported that those workers and Awood Center were able to achieve the unprecedented in getting Amazon to come to the bargaining table. Abdirahman Moose, the executive director of Awood Center, says, "We now have met twice with Amazon management, which hasn't happened anywhere else, as far as we know." While a victory in its own right, Amazon has not, according to Muse, offered any, quote, acceptable changes yet, necessitating Friday's protest. MSP1 is a fairly new and heavily roboticized factory, much like the facility in Staten Island, New York, where workers recently announced their intention to unionize with the Retail, Wholesale, and Department Store Union. One worker at Staten Island, in a protest outside of City Hall last week, expressed concern over long shifts, non-functioning smoke detectors and sprinkler systems, and inhumane temperatures. She told to the crowd at the time, "We have asked the company to provide air conditioning, but they told us that the robots inside can't work in the cold weather." What? Since when are robots unable to work in cold conditions? I mean, how cold is it if you got an air conditioner in there? 70? I mean, that sounds like a ridiculous claim on Amazon's managers' parts. And I'm sure that they are not without fault in whatever these arrangements are between people. And indeed, if there are enough employees, just to go back to the Minnesota story here, if there are enough employees in Minnesota to be able to swing some negotiations, then good. They should be able to do that. There's nothing wrong, and there's nothing anti-libertarian about necessarily becoming a union. It's just that when the government gets involved between unions and companies is when the problems come in, because government's inevitably going to take one side or the other, and they're going to favor one side or the other with various different regulations and rules, and that's not fair. If you've got
and with the National Labor Relations Act that's been in place for decades, the government is involved.
Yeah, and so if you've got enough people in with which you can organize something, then you've got a bargaining posture, and you should be able to ask for the things that you want. So I don't think there's anything necessarily inherently wrong with having a protest like this. And I don't know if we've got Will Coley with us here. Will, are you there? Okay, I thought I had him on the line, but I guess that connection is not there. So hopefully we can get Will on here and talk to him about this, because he's like I said, he is an actual imam with the local mosque. He said he'd be able to join us here in this segment, but now he's calling us back. So I don't know if this is. Hopefully this is going to work here. Do we have Will Coley? Will Coley. Okay, I don't know why that's not working. It should be working. I don't. Well, we'll have to do some bug testing and see what's going on there. Maybe we can get him on the Discord. We were trying to get him in through a different method, but the Discord, of course, is the best way to contact Free Talk Live. It works very well. It sounds great. Go through discord.lrn.fm, and we can get you on the air, and you can talk to us about this. A little bit more here from the story. One worker getting off their shift at MSP1 told Gizmodo that the rate of the work continues to climb while the workers remain utterly expendable, toiling in poor conditions. He says, "If you work with me, you'll be sick within a week." Another worker, Kadra Kasim, told the crowd through a translator that due to a workplace injury, she nearly miscarried her unborn daughter. They reached out at Gizmodo to Amazon for comment on the workers' demands and claims of unfair treatment and harsh working conditions. They say they'll update when they receive a response. Joining the group of protesters outside MSP1 was Representative-elect Ilhan Omar, the first Somali American representative in the United States Congress. She told to Wild Cheers, saying, quote, "Amazon doesn't work if you don't work, and it's about time we make Amazon understand that." Minnesota Lieutenant Governor-elect Peggy Flanagan also passed on words of encouragement to workers through an unlisted video on their YouTube channel, stating, quote, "Today, my hope for you is that you can organize in partnership to create jobs at Amazon that are fair, safe, and reliable." So a bunch of politicians making it sound like they care about these people. Just before 5 o'clock, the crowd of protesters...
And my guess is that the politicians just really don't like Amazon for some reason.
Although they probably order from Amazon.
Probably.
The crowd of protesters moved from the sidewalk in front of MSP1, where they'd set up a massive prayer rug as well as an amplification system from the bed of a pickup truck and marched on the building itself. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. Shakopee police confirmed in a phone call that there were no arrests, no property damage, and no injuries, so it sounds like, all things considered, it was a fairly peaceful protest. Your thoughts are certainly welcome if you want to weigh in here on, should Amazon go ahead and provide a special prayer area for its employees at this facility? And should that prayer area be shared, or should it just be for the Muslims?
Want revenge on the common housefly? Well, after 10,000 years, someone has finally come up with a better way. The Bug Assault, a miniaturized shotgun, which utilizes ordinary table salt as ammunition. Non-toxic and no batteries required. So much fun, you'll forget you have a wife and kids. Makes the perfect stocking stuffer. Get your Bug Assault today and save $10 on the Bug Beam Laser Combo, only at bugassault.com.
Silver has always been nature's very own antibiotic, and only one system allows you to produce an endless supply of nano-sized silver solutions right from the convenience of your home. Silver Lungs. With the addition of our unique lung delivery system, respiratory infections are targeted directly, where traditional oral administration simply cannot reach. This pioneering method also preserves the original particle sizes and delivers your silver solution directly into the bloodstream. See the Silver Lungs generator and lung delivery system at silverlungs.com. That's silverlungs.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nestle Toll House Morsels, helping you create special moments and memories your family will cherish forever. Visit us at tollhouse.com. You may bake for birthdays and holidays, but why stop there? Sweeten up the rest of the year by designating monthly dessert days. Treat your family to one of their favorites or surprise them with something new. Either way, you'll create a tradition everyone will love. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what the readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. freedomsphoenix.com, constantly providing the information, the real news about government policies, and the real relationship we all have with the coercive government. The real condition of the economy, innovations in technology, breakthroughs in energy, health, and computer science. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media. The corporate media, nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but now there's an alternative. freedomsphoenix.com. Constant news updates on the issues that affect your life in the most important ways. With liberty and property under constant attack, freedomsphoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda, and it encourages the participation of its readers. Go to freedomsphoenix.com. That's Freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com. Freedomsphoenix.com. The revolution between the ears has already happened.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live. You dial toll free and bring up whatever you want here. If you want to join us, we're talking about workers at the Amazon factory up in Minnesota. With you in the studio tonight, by the way, it's Ian.
And Daryl.
And, of course, we invite you online over at freetalklive.com. Don't forget, we got all kinds of cool features on our website, including our Twitch channel. You can go to twitch.lrn.fm, follow our Twitch there. We actually had an epic after show last night where we had Aria DeMezzo on with us from The Call to Freedom, which is the other show on weekdays in the afternoons on lrn.fm. She joined us last night because she didn't have The Call to Freedom to be on, so she came on with us, and then we ended up doing a 4-hour-long after show after that. Will Coley is on the line with us right now on our Discord on-air call-in line. Hello, Will.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Will, you are, as we mentioned to our listeners who may be new to you, if they're just tuning in for the first time tonight, you are an imam at the local mosque here in Keene, New Hampshire, the Malik Center, which has now been established for over a year. And you, I figured you would know the answer to this question. You know, you're my go-to guy when it comes to questions about being a Muslim. And the situation is, according to some of the employees at this Amazon fulfillment center in Minnesota, which has a very large Somali population in the area working for it, they're saying they're not getting enough breaks in order to do the prayers that they are supposed to do as a Muslim. And so my question was, to you as a Muslim, if you're working somewhere and it wasn't something you worked out in advance, because I said the answer to this is to nail this down in advance. Like before you take the job, say, hey, look, I got to have a break here and I got to have a break here to go and do my praying. But if that didn't happen and
I've never had a problem nailing it down before I got, like as I was being hired.
Right.
Like you, we want to bring you on. It's like, awesome, cool. So there are some things, like I'll need just a couple of minutes at this time and at this time. And I mean, even on sales floors where they're really, really religious about you being on the phone. At one point in time, I did telemarketing, early on in my life as a Muslim. And they were like, yeah, no problem. We'll put you on here. There's a little room over here you can use, blah, blah, blah. I've literally never had a problem. The beard, honestly, has given me more problem than the praying.
Well, there are some companies that want clean-shaven people, and they got some special rules, no tattoos or whatever it is they got. And those things seem to be loosening up, I think, over time in general. But yeah, so that was my immediate response was, well, these folks should have probably nailed this stuff down in advance. But here they are now saying, well, this is a problem. We're not given enough breaks for the prayers that we need to make. And basically, what should they do?
Well, you have 5 prayers a day. Okay. So the first one, unless you're working overnights, Fajr prayer, you're praying at home. Because right now, Fajr is around 5:45 in the morning-ish, depending on where you live. Here, it's like 5:43, but, it moves around depending, as you
depends on sunrise, right? Isn't that a sunrise prayer?
It depends on the sun, just before the sunrise, actually. It's usually about 40 minutes before sunrise. So that one's going to be at home. So that means you've got the possibility of 2 prayers. If it's not this time of year, then Asr would be a late afternoon prayer. So like around 4 or 5 in the afternoon. So if you're a morning shift worker, the only prayer you're worried about is Dhuhr, which is a prayer that most of the time you can knock out on your lunch break.
How flexible are the rules? I mean, because I remember in the Quran,
which you've actually read.
I have, and it was one of the more memorable parts, actually, was where Muhammad actually negotiates with God to reduce, because God wanted 50 prayers per day, but he negotiated it down to just 5. And so that's as a result of purportedly Muhammad's negotiations with God and the angel Gabriel in that case.
Rulings. I mean, there's different rulings. The number one rule in Islam is that fiqh, the jurisprudence and sharia, are meant to facilitate, not to
tie down.
to tie you down completely, you know. So if you're in a position, like, you can combine the prayers if you're traveling. So if there's a hardship, there are dispensations. So what you can do is go to a person who's an expert in fiqh. Like, we have one not far from here. He lives in New Haven. He's one of the imams I used to learn from. His name is Imam Bashir Dajeshi. And he has a PhD in comparative fiqh. And you go to him and you say, look, this is what's going on. And more than likely what he's going to tell you is either combine the prayers because of the hardship or pray at home. Now, there's nothing saying you shouldn't stand up for your rights.
Yeah.
But if you're put in a position where it's your children go hungry, pray at home, then you choose the lesser evil, and the lesser evil is that you pray at home.
Later on, after the purported more appropriate time to do it. So you can time shift. You're saying there is some level of you can time shift a prayer.
Anyway, on average, most Muslims in the U.S. don't pray dead on the exact time anyway. We keep the prayer times in the masjid because it's the masjid. You know, like, you kind of have to. But the average Muslim who's working a 9 to 5, you know, they're praying their Dhuhr prayer during their lunch break, even though her time comes in at like 11:30 right now.
So what you're saying is these Muslims that are making a big to-do about all this up in Minnesota are really blowing this out of proportion. If they're getting a break, and presumably they're probably getting at least one break on a full-on 8-hour, 9-hour shift, if they're getting a break at some point for lunch or a break just for the break's sake, you know, after 4 hours or whatever, that should be sufficient for them to take a couple minutes out and turn towards Mecca and pray.
As long as that break doesn't come before the prayer time comes in. So her time is at 1 o'clock, and they're made to take their break at 11:30.
Yeah.
Well, they wouldn't be able to pray her prayer at 11:30 because that prayer had not come in.
But they could do it after that time.
They could do it later as long as they did it before Asr. And then, you know, according to some schools, you know, traveling is leaving the town that you live in. So like if you live in Keene and you went to work in Swansea, even though it's not very far, it's another town. So technically you could combine the prayers so that you could pray the noon and the afternoon prayer together, so that you wouldn't have to take 2 breaks to pray those 2 prayers.
So the article that I see from the Star Tribune says that workers can take paid prayer breaks, but they're still required to meet the performance goals.
Okay.
And they're wanting to adjust the performance goals, which they say have increased, you know, ridiculously.
No, I mean, this is just me personally. When I worked in sales, I hit every performance goal, and I still did my prayers. I was top 20% sales in my district for 3 months in a row, and I still made my prayers on time.
Well, of course, you were on the phone, and they were moving packages.
Yeah, packing boxes and, you know, making phone calls slightly different.
But what I'm hearing from you is that there's some level of flexibility within Islam as far as the time frames of the praying is concerned. And further, had they been responsible about this, they would have nailed these provisions down before they took the job. And they did. It doesn't sound like they did.
Because that's part of Islam. Part of Islam is that, you know, jobs are negotiated before you start. You know, what your pay is going to be. All of those things are supposed to be negotiated, like free market negotiation. You know, that you think that you should sit down with someone and have a discussion. This is what I'm worth. This is what I need. You know, and formulate an agreement, and that should be done before work is started. And that as a Muslim, you should make that a part of it. You know,
I agree that it should happen before the employment starts, but the problem is when you have big companies like these, you've got some, you know, upper management, not the middle manager guy in your local facility. You've got upper management that then says, "Oh yeah, corporate passed a rule that all of this is the new rules." So they
if it's in your contract, then it's in your contract.
Oh, they generally don't have
Well, this would be part of an agreement that you would make in advance, and it would be written down. That would be the appropriate way to handle this. Will, thanks for the input. That's Will Coley. He's from the Call to Freedom. You can find his website, calltofreedomlive.com. His show airs from 4 till 7 Eastern Time every day during the week at LRN.FM. We're coming up.
From the third letter of Captain Mark. The Crown's observation conditions us to be dishonest with ourselves. Therefore, constant surveillance produces a society of constant deception. Honest communication is the seed of civilized conduct. To deny us this seed is to deny us its fruits. But the Crown's primary objective is to stifle free thought itself, to make its subjects incapable of dissent. Seasoned pirates have always encrypted messages and codes and ciphers, so intercepted transmissions were incomprehensible. But today, the Crown possesses advanced tools of pattern recognition that document, profile, and predict our every move. Today, piracy requires hailing frequencies completely invisible to the Crown. We are tired of poltergeists in the static. Looking for a community of like-minded scoundrels, or just want some swag to let the Crown know what you think of it? Join the conversation at pirateswithoutborders.com.
Pain in my neck, back, and shoulders has really gotten worse.
Relief for body pain is here with Sunny Bay heating pads.
Well, the last thing I want is to take another pill, so what's so good about Sunny Bay heating pads?
Sunny Bay heating pads, made by Biomed DB Design right here in the USA, come in all sizes. Our extra large microwavable heating pad for back pain is designed to be large enough to cover your entire back. It's also perfect to wrap around your legs, knees, or shoulder and neck.
But I need to know they're good quality.
Of course, Sunny Bay heating pads and pillows are often an Amazon choice, and it's easy and most affordable when you purchase your Sunny Bay heating pads right from our website, sunshinepillows.com, or call us 253-678-1361.
Hey, a Sunny Bay heating pad
would make a great gift, right?
Yes, and they start at just $19.99 and free shipping is available. So call 253-678-1361 or shop for your Sunny Bay heating pad at sunshinepillows.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
All right, it's Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything you want here. We've actually got the response from Amazon.
Ooh,
at least some excerpts from it. To Gizmodo's credit, they did actually print those down toward the bottom of the article,
all right.
Which will continue here, which is purportedly all about these Muslim employees over at Amazon in Minneapolis area. They've got a huge fulfillment center there, 850,000 square feet of fulfillment center, and people were protesting this month outside, claiming that they weren't being treated fairly, that they weren't being given appropriate breaks for the prayers that they need to do as Muslims. We just talked to Will Coley from the local mosque here in the Keene, New Hampshire area about exactly how those prayers work. You know, how flexible are they? And it turns out there is some flexibility regarding when they can be conducted by the individual Muslim. So Ian and Daryl here in the studio. I do want to say thank you to our Free Talk Live amplifiers, Robert, who is a Free Talk Live Silver amplifier. Robert's given $5 per month to the show to help us advertise, market, and promote. That's what AMP stands for, and it's a way for you to get behind what we do here, talking about the ideas of liberty 7 days a week on radio stations across the United States and beyond. If you want to help us conduct that mission, please take a moment, especially if you're flush with cash after a successful Christmas, take a moment and go to amp.freetalklive.com. It makes a big difference for us. We really appreciate it. Once again, it's ampamp.freetalklive.com. You can sign up with Bitcoin, BTC, you can use PayPal, you can use credit card, and you, of course, get some special perks, bonuses, because you're a Free Talk Live amplifier, like Robert. And also Leah H. Thanks to Leah H. as well. I forgot Robert yesterday, so I'm doing a little catch-up. Leah H. also a Free Talk Live Silver amplifier. So thank you to everybody that amps the show. And if you want to be acknowledged on the air, you do have to opt into that by default as an amplifier. Default status is you're anonymous. But if you want to opt in, there's instructions in the initial email that you'll get from me. I usually send those emails out once a week when I actually do my AMP processing, and then you'll learn how you can, get that info filled in. You can use whatever name you want. You don't have to actually use your real name, so it's up to you. We'll refer to you how you prefer, as long as it doesn't violate FCC regulations. That's fine. amp.freetalklive.com. Please go there, get signed up as we go to your calls and thoughts, and then we'll get to the Amazon statement here about what they have to say about the protest going on out in front of their facility in Minneapolis. Gavin, though, is on the line in Oregon first. Gavin, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Daryl.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, you guys, my phone's about to die. I hope I can keep it alive.
We have you. Go ahead.
But, okay. Well, you guys say some brilliant things every once in a while. But when you say that, like, the government, like, you're a government worker, it's not a real job, I mean, come on.
It's not a productive job that the marketplace actually values, providing a real service or a product.
So it's all about the market, right?
Most government jobs, there are some government jobs that could actually be reproduced in the marketplace. Like here in Keene, somebody's got to plow the snow, right? So that's the government right now, but it could very well easily be, and there are plenty of independent snow plowers, so that can be done independently. So some government jobs are essentially things that could transition into the marketplace, but there's plenty of them that are total make work, totally useless.
Have you ever done a government job?
God, thank God, no. No, I've worked in the productive economy my entire life.
Oh, right. So you have no idea what you're talking about because the government, the people that work in the government have a real job. They have a real job to do stuff.
It's a real job in that they get paid, but it's not a productive job. Somebody that sits there pushing papers around the IRS is not producing.
Only capitalism is productive, right?
What? I'm not pro-capitalism. I'm pro-freedom.
Right. Then what does that mean?
It means you have the freedom to do whatever you want to do so long as you don't hurt anybody else. That has nothing to do with economic organization. If you want to have a co-op, if you have an employee-operated business, that's totally fine. If you want to have a commune, that's totally fine too.
Okay, I agree with that. I agree with that what you're saying, that freedom is the most important thing.
Great. So what does the IRS worker produce?
Well, they have taxes that come in that can pay for the roads.
No.
Infrastructure.
No. I asked you, what does the IRS worker produce?
Tax revenue.
That's not something the marketplace actually values. That's not a job that would actually exist in the absence of government.
There's more to the economy than the marketplace.
If you're talking about the people that are siphoning off the productivity from the economy, that describes an IRS worker. They have a job. Their job is to siphon off productivity from the rest of us who actually do things of value.
Where do you think where do you think that money goes to? The tax money that they siphon off.
A bunch of other bureaucrats.
And what do they provide?
Let's see. Murdering innocent people around the globe. How about that? Huh? How about murdering innocent people? How about giving a bunch of money to a bunch of corporations? How about that? You support that, don't you?
Yeah. No, I hate that.
Oh, guess what? That's what your IRS workers are producing for you.
You guys, listen. My problem is you guys think the government is evil, and you think the corporations are benevolent.
Wait a minute. I didn't say anything about corporations being benevolent. Why are you putting words into my mouth?
You just said that about
No, sir, I did not.
No, I didn't.
Okay, what did you say? Okay, what did you say about the corporations?
Big corporations tend to suck. They tend to be awful. I've worked for them in the past. And
what he said about corporations, hold on, what he said about corporations is that a lot of tax revenue gets funneled to them.
Yeah, you don't support that, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay, I don't either.
Now, why are you calling the public schools government schools? That's ridiculous.
Because they're run by government?
I'm a high school teacher, and that's ridiculous.
Oh,
you're a government employee unless you work for a private school.
Oh, my God, I know. I'm an evil government employee. Right.
No, nobody said you were evil.
Well,
I already said to you, if you would stop talking for half a second, you would listen. You could maybe listen to what I said. I said that some government workers have the ability to exist in the free marketplace. Teachers would be in demand in the free marketplace. You would have a job in the marketplace if you didn't have the government tax extractors forcibly threatening people, because it is evil to threaten your neighbors. Is it evil to stick a gun in somebody's face and threaten their life?
But listen, that's funny because
it's funny to steal money
no,
from
that's
people?
a question. Is it evil to stick a gun in somebody's face and threaten their life?
Who is sticking a gun in someone's face?
What happens if you don't pay taxes?
Taxes go for taxes.
He didn't ask what taxes go for. What happens if someone does not pay taxes? If your grandmother does not pay her property tax bill, what happens?
Well, people should. I don't know, but people should.
Oh, you really don't know? Well, let me teach you a thing or two. So if you don't pay a tax bill, whether it be property taxes or the IRS or whatever, at some point, a letter is going to be sent to you with a threat. And that threat's going to say, you better pay up or something bad's going to happen. In the case of property taxes, they're going to what they call tax sale. That's another word for steal your property.
Happened to a friend of ours down in Palmer, Massachusetts.
It did. They stole his house from him.
They pulled him out of his house
at 6 in the morning or 4 in the morning or whatever,
so that they could then sell the house.
Right. And had he stood in their way and said, this is my house and you're not going to take it from me, then they would have escalated the force against him up to the point of killing him if necessary.
Right.
So there's always the threat of deadly force behind every government program, even your precious government schools. And I wish, Gavin, that you'd called in sooner. Unfortunately, you waited till the very last segment to call. So I would invite you to call again another night and we can discuss this in greater detail. Thank you for the call. I mean, just putting words in our mouths saying that we're supporting corporations. The government's a corporation. Okay? Look it up. Municipal corporation. The government creates corporations. They create corporations to protect big business people who are in bed with the government. I mean, they're all working together to screw you over. And I'm sorry you can't see it yet, but we'd love to talk to you at another time. Here's the statement from Amazon because I want to get it out there.
Yep.
The majority of people participating in today's events, the protests we were talking about, are not Amazon associates because most Amazon associates are at work today, sending out thousands of holiday packages for customers. We're disappointed in today's efforts to undermine the dedicated and hardworking people who are the life and soul of our business. For them, it was business as usual. And they did admit in the article that there were local activists that were at this protest, in addition to some workers.
Right.
Amazon pushed back against the characteristics of the working conditions, stating, quote, "We have a great safety record," and saying further, "We employ 16 safety professionals in the building whose sole job is to ensure the welfare of our employees." With regard to community engagement, they say they've paid more than $84 million on compensation alone for employees identifying as East African. They say further that just this week we held a recruitment center event in the community to meet with interested candidates for managerial positions. They say that sort of thing is ongoing. Prayer breaks, they say, prayer breaks less than 20 minutes are paid. and productivity expectations are not adjusted for such breaks. Associates are welcome to request an unpaid prayer break for over 20 minutes, for which the productivity expectations would be adjusted. So they're saying here, if you want to take some more time off, you can do that. You just, not going to get paid for it.
Right.
In that case. I wouldn't say that's particularly outrageous. We'll see you tomorrow night. Online in the meantime, freetalklive.com.
If you're looking for work, you know the math. There are many more applicants than openings, so you need to stand out, not blend into the blah, blah, blah your interviewer is hearing from your competition. Here's a tip. In your interview, you will be judged more by the questions you ask than the answers you give. Yes, do anticipate the obvious job interview questions and prepare concise, insightful, glass-half-full sounding responses. And you should interview your interviewer. Seem genuinely curious about what will help get results. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. You want to cut through the clutter. For more tips for job seekers and making all the other conversations you have more productive, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
The Torchwood Report is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, December 26, 2018. Silver is trading at $15.01 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,276 per ounce. Zen is trading at $5, and the average price of Bitcoin is $3,780. Antiwar.com reports 1 week after the ceasefire in Yemen's vital aid port of Hodeidah went into effect, a statement from pro-Saudi officials claimed that the Shiite Houthis have committed 183 ceasefire violations since then. Over the course of that time, they say that 10 pro-government troops were killed and 143 wounded. There was no report of Houthi casualties over that period, but the Houthis had similarly reported claims that the other side was violating the ceasefire. Interestingly, the statement also denied that the Saudi coalition had carried out any airstrikes against Hodeidah province, which seems highly unlikely since locals have reported several airstrikes in the area, and the Saudi coalition are the only ones active there with airplanes. These casualties span the whole part of Hodeidah province, and despite there being pretty much daily fighting in the province, the port city of Hodeidah itself is largely quiet. This has allowed both sides to complain of violations while the ceasefire remains largely intact. In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake's security company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? Will anybody care? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. UPI reports a college in New England had asked a student to remove an anti-Nazi sign from her window. Nicole Parsons, a junior at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, put up a sign in her window that read, "F Nazis" and "You are not welcome here," in response to someone drawing a swastika over a Happy Hanukkah message on the door of a resident assistant. A week after putting the sign in her window, Parsons got an email from the college asking her to take the sign down, reading, "While residence education cannot force you or your roommates to take the sign down, I am asking that you or your roommate take the sign down so that all students can be part of an inclusive residential experience, as well as having a respectful environment to be part of here on our campus." Parsons said, "I was in absolute shock. This email tells me the university cares more about the feelings of Nazis than the safety of their students." After her roommate expressed concern over the attention the sign brought to the room, Parsons did remove it from the window. The University of Massachusetts Amherst later issued a note on its Facebook page saying a student placed a sign in their window that said, "F Nazis." A poorly worded email from a resident's life staff asking student to take down the sign does not reflect the values of the campus, and it should not have been sent. UMass Amherst emphatically rejects Nazis and any other hate group, a view expressed in the student's sign. However, we are sensitive to the use of profanity, which some could find inappropriate. The university respects the student's right to display the sign, and it may remain up. Since September, the school has tracked 19 hate crime reports on campus.
Zencash is now Horizon. Horizon is a privacy platform built on zero-knowledge technology with a decentralized secure node architecture. The Horizon platform enables